Alright, hello weary travelers and welcome to the Come and Go Tavern. My name is Sheela Ornthalis and I'll be your hostess this afternoon. Today's kitchen special is a 4-cheese macaroni. And hang on just a second. That's not the right person. And it looks like Emily is currently available for a full service package, if you know what I mean. But if you see anything or anyone else on the menu that you're interested in, just let me know and we'll see what we can do. Today we'll be continuing with Shadowrun Dragonfall. We only did a little bit of fighting last time. I don't know what you mean. Yep, nope. Wait, what do you... Huh? Huh? What do you mean that's scary? Which part? But anywho, we only did a little bit of fighting last time, then spent the rest of the session talking things out with some of our teammates. That set us up nicely to go do both Iger and Mercy's missions this time, though, and I am certain that there will be some heavy stuff in both, so do be aware of that. Especially Mercy's mission has some really heavy emotional content in it. So we'll get back to making money for our savings account eventually, of course. Alice needs to be paid if we're going to find out who killed Monica after all. As always, I will also be available for comments, questions, and concerns about the tavern, as well as regular old conversation, so don't be afraid to fill that chat with discussion. So yeah, I guess let's head on over, shall we? Let's see. Still wondering what's scary. Okay, well, we're gonna go do Mercy's thing first, apparently. Got to travel the Harrow's compound in Tübingen. Continue? Yep. Stelle. The drive from the Kreuzbazaar to the Schonbuch forest was a long one, over 6 hours. You and Glory... Oh, Glory. I don't know why I keep calling her Mercy. Rode in relative silence, with only the sounds of the road for company. Now you find yourself crouching in the woods, watching, waiting. Off in the distance, the rustic exterior of the Feuerstelle looks curiously warm and inviting. You know what's waiting inside. Anticipation churns at your guts like a living thing. Eventually, a van pulls out of the compound's driveway and rolls out along a service road before disappearing from view. Glory gives you a nod and begins to scramble forward. Harrow has left the building. It's time for you to make your way inside. Alrighty. Nope. All of Glory's stuff is taken care of, so here we are. The weathered edifice of the Feuerstelle looms above you. Dark and sinister in the chill night air. Despite the horrifying stories that Glory told you about this place, something about it feels strangely comforting. In the back of your mind, insidious voices whisper that you can stay here forever. Do you feel it? The lure of this place? Glory gestures with a limb of chrome and steel. When I was a kid, when I was whole, the pull was irresistible. Yeah, I feel it, but that doesn't change what we have to do. No, it doesn't. She looks at you and her eyes are dark. When she speaks again, her voice is quiet, steady. You're going to see some terrible things in this place, Sheela. Feuerstelle exists to prey on the young. We're going to have to come face to face with that. I'm sure that you're prepared for this. When you say the young, how young do you mean? Need to know what we're walking into. Teenagers, mostly. 16 through 18. Though there is the rare exception. It's young enough to make me feel uneasy. Me too. We're going to put an end to it, one way or another. So I'll ask you again, are you ready for this? I need an honest answer. Don't worry about me, I'm solid. She studies your face for a moment longer, and looks away. Good. Want to compare notes? Make sure that we're both on the same page? We take Harrow out of commission. You were right when you said that we couldn't afford to let him live. Even if we completely destroyed the place, it'd all be for nothing if he got away. Just start another cult somewhere else. This is your run, Glory. I'm just here to help you see it through. So what do we do first? We make our way inside and take out the shrine that Harrow uses as his power focus. We can't touch him while that thing is standing. But after we bring it down, he'll be vulnerable. Tell me more about the shrine. It's a lump of rock about as tall as I am, inscribed with runes and encrusted with bone. The shrine's power comes from an entity that Harrow bound into the stone. Something very old and very dangerous. A toxic spirit. In many ways, it is the heart of this place. We can't touch Harrow while the shrine is intact. If we try, he'll siphon enough power from it to slaughter us where we stand. If we confront the shrine and kill the spirit, the astral backlash from its death will cripple him. All we'll have to do is finish him off. I want to hash out a few more details before we head inside. It makes sense. If you have any questions, it'd be best to ask them now. So, we make our way to the shrine and then, what, take it out with explosives? Breaking the rock won't work. You have to take on the spirit directly, track it to where it lives, and kill it. Oh, yeah. Glory is incredibly iconic. That's the satchel that hangs from her shoulder. I brought what we'll need to do that. I can't tell you exactly how this is going to go down, Sheela. The spirit itself will have a good deal of control over that. But you'd better prepare yourself, because I think that this is going to be one hell of a fight. What about the other cultists? We'll save any that we can. But the energy that's released when the spirit dies will hurt them too. Anyone whose mind it touched will be hit. Doesn't that mean that the backlash will hit us too? You've only just arrived. Spirit hasn't had its chance to worm its way into your aura yet. You might black out for a minute or two, but otherwise you should be fine. As for me, well, like I said, this place can't touch me anymore. Sounds like this is our best shot then. It is. If the shrine is this important, why didn't you mention it earlier? When I lived here, Harrow barely used the thing. To be honest, I think he was afraid of it. Back before I ran away, Norsteda had nothing more, or was nothing more than a cult of personality that revolved around Harrow. He didn't need any magical help to keep us here. We loved him, and we believed in his message. He created the shrine as an insurance policy. You think that something has changed and that he's started abusing the shrine's power. She nods. Yes. I think that my escape was the cause for that change. I know Harrow. When I ran, I bruised his ego. His charisma and charm had failed him, and my disappearance rubbed his nose in that failure. He wouldn't be willing to chance something like that happening again, not when he had the means to prevent it. So, the cultists here, they're like puppets? The shrine controls them? Not exactly. It's more insidious than that. Think of the shrine's influence as a drug. Lowers your inhibitions, makes you compliant. If you were to stay here for a couple of days, you'd fall in love with this place, and you wouldn't even know why. All of Harrow's bullshit would start to make sense. You'd be happy. In essence, all of the cultists here are addicted to this place. It makes them a threat, yes, but it also makes them victims. I think I know everything that I need to know. Let's get moving. Lori nods, and the razors flick out of her fingertips. I'm with you. Let's do it. No way to get around to the sides. He's straight in through the front door then, I suppose. That door's locked. Whoa. This is a complicated-ass lodge. Well, I suppose we start where we start. You hear a distant murmuring sound coming from inside the room. Voices. 3, maybe 4 people, all talking amongst themselves. You can't figure out what they're saying, but one of the voices sounds desperate. You've heard the tone before. The sound of a man pleading for his life. We should keep moving. Whatever's going on in there, we don't want to get involved. Sounds like somebody's in trouble there. I don't doubt it, but we're here to kill Harrow, not the people he's brainwashed. After we've taken out the shrine, the cultists in there will be hurt, disoriented. We can deal with them there. And then. Right, Glory. Take your word for it. More voices speaking through in low tones through the window of the door. You can't make out the words, but the regular choruses of rough laughter tell you that the people on the other side are enjoying themselves. Those voices belong to Harrow's acolytes. They'll have some magical training, and they like hurting people. You open that door and we're going to have a fight on our hands. How do you know that they're acolytes? Process of elimination. Initiates aren't allowed in that room. It's one of Harrow's rules. On the rare occasions that an initiate is invited in, he usually doesn't come back out again. What happens in there? Her mouth tightens. It's a sort of lounge for Harrow's inner circle. The acolytes and the bait girls, and Harrow's wives. Marta and I used to spend a lot of time in there. Let's keep moving then. Lori pauses at the side of the van. She traces the side of it with a claw. I remember cruising the back alleys of Tübingen, looking for kids in need of help. The bait girls, Marta and the others like her, would offer them money or food or drugs or sex, whatever it took to get them into the van. And once they piled in, Harrow and I would be waiting to greet them. I remember so many nights like that. She frowns. I remember how much I used to enjoy it. Coming back here shows integrity, Glory. Most runners that I know wouldn't have done what you're doing tonight. Left to my own devices, I probably wouldn't have. You pushed me to do this, to find some semblance of redemption. I owe you for that. You don't owe me anything. She shrugs. Play yourself what you like. We both know the truth. Come on, let's get moving. This is the Initiate's dormitory. The new arrivals are brought here. There's still hope for these kids, Sheela. Harrow hasn't had a chance to ruin them yet. Then we need to stop him before he can't... Wait, listen. Movement in the other room. Listens closely. You strain your ears to listen. Soft voices from inside the room come drifting out of a nearby vent. You hear a woman's voice. The sound is crisp and smooth and sweet, and it instantly puts you at ease. Calm now, dear. It's probably nothing. No need to worry yourself. We're so far off the beaten track, we don't get a lot of visitors. Out of the corner of your eye, you can see Glory's back stiffen. She flinches as though she's been stung. Another voice, high-pitched and pleading. An adolescent boy. What if it is someone? And what if the bad people have found us? What if they followed me here and they'd come to... Female voice cuts in, soft and comforting. Well then, we'll send them away. You're perfectly safe here. You have to believe that. Don't worry, dear heart. Harrow won't let anyone hurt you. Not here in this place. Ever again. You hear another boy's voice. This one is deeper. Are you certain, Marta? Positive. Be calm, all of you. As long as you're here with us, nothing bad will ever happen to you. It's her, the girl who lured you here. She gives a curt nod. That's right, Marta. The bait that Harrow used to draw me to this place. What do you want to do? Laurie pauses, grits her teeth. Finally, she spits out an answer. I don't know. If she's still here, she'll be Harrow's number one. My old position. He had his way with all of us, but he was always sweet on Marta. Part of me wants to kill her. She's the reason why a lot of kids wound up here, including me. She grits her teeth and the razors flick out of her fingertips. A second later, she retracts them. But there isn't time. This isn't what we're here for. You're right. We can deal with Marta later, after we've accomplished what we came here to do. After a brief pause, she nods. Marta's voice floats back out through the vent. Hush now, boys, and get some rest. We've got a big day tomorrow. The biggest day of your lives. You get to meet Harrow. I promise you, after you speak with him, you'll see the whole world in a different way. A better way. The adolescent voice trembles out of a response. All right, Marta. Have a good night. A lovely musical laugh pours through the vent. You too, dear heart. All of you. You hear the distant sound of a door sliding shut. Let's go, Sheela. We need to deal with that shrine. Yeah, let's go. Oh, advanced med kit. In here. As you open the refrigerator door, a whiff of ammonia sticks in your nostrils. Watery light glints off the door's polished interior. The fridge is stacked full of large plastic bins, all tightly sealed, neatly labeled. It's hard to tell through the opaque plastic, but they appear to be full of meat. We're going to inspect the containers. You pop the lid off the container and take a closer look. The first thing that hits you is the smell. The meat in here is beyond rancid. White mold frosts the sides of the bin. It's all you can do to keep from gagging. As you rush to put the lid back on, you recognize a familiar shape in the rotten meat. A mangled human hand. Is this what I think it is? Rory's voice is flat. Ritual supplies. The adversary prefers them aged. Harrow teaches all the initiates how to do it. How to harvest the meat, how to store it, how to label it. Nobody likes doing it at first, but you learn. At the end, it doesn't even bother you anymore. I get the picture. I warned you that you'd see things you didn't want to in here. You weren't lying. She turns away from you. Come on, let's keep moving. You're looking for a key, something to unlock the ritual room. An ostentatiously large tome sits cradled on this pedestal. The paper is robust and fibrous, and the binding has been expertly stitched. A steel plate running along the book's spine anchors it to the pedestal. Harry stares down at it, frowning. Harrow's Manifesto. A handcrafted line of bullshit that he feeds to his initiates. We all ate it up with a smile, and came away convinced that he was a genius. She leaves through the pages with an articulated finger. Looks like he's expanded it over the last few years. It's at least twice as thick as it was when I lived here. Maybe there's something in there that we can use? I wouldn't want to hang around too long enough to find out. This is Harrow's personal library. He used to experiment in here. There were dangerous things in here, Sheela. Sick things. Was never allowed in this room without Harrow. Nobody was. It said that it was for our safety, and I think he was telling the truth. She pauses. I feel uneasy being in here. I don't want to stay any longer than we have to. I've been on edge since we came in. It doesn't change the fact that we should learn what we can. Alright, I'll watch your back, but try to be quick. Leaf through the beginning of the manifesto. You flip through the early pages of the manifesto, find what looks like a good place to jump in and start to read. When I first set out on the path to free living... Oh, no. Look, anytime somebody uses terms like free living or decentralized or off the grid, I don't know, I have enough personal experience with people who start to say things like that, that it puts not necessarily a chill up my spine, but it definitely raises my hackles, you know? Anywho, when I first set out on the path to free living, I realized that I'd have to rethink all of my earlier assumptions about life. I'd have to question my own values and beliefs, and I'd need the strength to trust in the answers that came to me. The prospect was daunting. It was also necessary. The road to true freedom is paved with unanswered questions. After all, you can't learn to be free from a book. The answers won't come from a Bible, an instruction manual, or a code of conduct. If you don't learn that, you'll never break your chains. The path to true freedom is one that each of us must walk on his or her own. What makes life worth living? What in life is truly valuable? And what is the dross that can be burned away? I spent weeks dissecting every aspect of my life to find the answers to these questions. Slowly, agonizingly, I pared down the list until only 4 items remained. These 4 items became the cornerstones of my new philosophy, and the basis for everything that Sheela stands for. Love! The first cornerstone, and the most important. This motherfucker is not talking about real love. Without love, life is bland and meaningless. Without love, we might as well be machines. Love what you do. Love the people around you. But above all, love yourself. Nice, pretty words, but not truth. Not what you really believe in. Self-determination, the second cornerstone. Each of us must be his or her own shepherd. No more gods and no more kings. Again, pretty words, backed up by nothing. Your life is your own. Lash out against anyone or anything that tries to treat you like property. An assault on your freedom is an assault on your whole being, and it must be met with an equally ferocious response. You know, if I didn't already hate this man based on what Gloria had told me about him, the fact that he's using such good words, but backed up by such horrible things, would make me truly despise him. Because, I very much agree with Granny Weatherwax. The very first origin of all sin is when you begin to treat people like things. And he's using very, very similar words here. But he doesn't mean them. Charity, a third cornerstone. A miserly life is an empty shell. If each of us is his or her own master, then nobody should live as a serf. And helping others along the path of enlightenment, so do we enrich our own lives. Yeah, Again, speaking true words, but not acting in a way that brings them up. Passion, the final cornerstone. Complacency is poison. Be wary of it. Ambition is the key to fulfilling life. Don't settle for what it is. If you do, you abandon what could be. You haven't been paying attention. What class are you rolling with? I am using Rigor. So you'll note that I have the 2 drones following me around at all times. It's my favorite way to play Shadowrun. I don't know why, honestly. You love Shaman in this, and I can see that. But yeah, I'm rather talented at playing Street Sams, but for some reason I always go to Rigor first. I couldn't tell you why. Could not tell you why. They really feel like they go against the grain of the setting. It's neat. Really? I don't know. I've always felt like Shaman is kind of integral to Shadowrun because Shadowrun, that's like, it's part of how Shadowrun differentiates itself from Cyberpunk and other, well, things in the Cyberpunk genre. It is sci-fi fantasy. And Shaman in particular have a lot to do with the interesting relationship that the game has to First Nations folks. Because a big message of the setting is that we should have been listening to the First Nations folks the entire time. Oh, you think you meant the genre rather than setting, now that I mention it. I can see that. If this was a standard cyberpunk genre, yes. But something important to remember about Shadowrun is that it is science fantasy, not science fiction. So, just like with mages, and again, like, I would even argue that shaman fit better than flat mages do in cyberpunk because, like, again, we're dealing with a situation where, you know, the First Nations folks were right. Got the huge fantasy element. It's got the huge fantasy element, but it is still very much cyberpunk. Yeah, exactly. But it's cyberpunk in the classic sense of the word, in the like Snow Crash sense of the word, back from before everybody had a whole bunch of other associations with what cyberpunk is. But it may not necessarily match up with like the common belief about what cyberpunk is. It leads to the really cool messed up stuff like as technology, blood harvesting. Oh yeah. And if you haven't played Earth Dawn or don't know anything about Earth Dawn, like the thing is that, okay, so Earth Dawn takes place in the 4th world, whereas we're now in the 6th world, which is somehow more on the nose for corporatism. Oh yeah, it is. Well, the thing is, like, back in the 4th world, being a blood mage was actually a thing that you could do and be a very good person with. It's the fact that, you know, to be a good blood mage, you had to personally sacrifice your own body to do it. It's when you sacrifice other people's power to gain your own that it becomes an evil thing. And blood magic was actually involved in pushing the horrors back as far as and as long as they possibly could in order to ease the cycle into the 5th world. But yeah, of course, nowadays, the only people actually doing it are, in fact, as you mentioned, as technology, who are absolutely doing it in the worst way possible. It sounds like a bit of a spin on the Windy Boy mythology, actually. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yep, nope. I'm gonna go ahead and deny that one. Not because I think you're a bad person, but because we don't say that word here. Yep, nope. Here's the thing. IRL, I look white as the driven snow. Nope, I have ancestry in Algonquian tribes, and nope. We do not speak it. We do not bring that in. So, no worries about that. With the misspell, I will allow to stay, but nope, we ain't doing that shit. Just like there are certain concepts from the Southwest that I shan't speak aloud, that I only have tangential knowledge of. If it's in relation that certain tribes don't talk about that stuff, it's an infantilizing myth that they're too terrified to talk about it. It's not that I'm terrified to talk about it. I am aware. It's not an infantilization thing. It is... Like, okay, the Yimi Bushi is another concept that, like, we don't go in depth about that. Yeah, no, it's not rooted in that idea. Like I said, it's not an infantilization thing. It's a superstition thing. It's like not whistling backstage. Like, I live close enough to a forest that even though I am not a religious person, the superstition is still there, you know? It's one of those ingrained things of like, I don't want to talk about that. Like, it's a whole thing. I have a lot of weird superstitions that are tied into practices that aren't necessarily historically accurate, but they still bug me. They itch at the back of my brain, if you know what I mean. So, Yeah, it's a whole thing. It's like, if I was in a fully urban environment, yeah, that might be a different thing. Like, I don't strictly believe in the paranormal. You have places where you felt some sort of presence, real or imagined, when you've gone immediately. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's... Yeah, like I said, for me, it really comes back to the idea of not being religious, but being extremely superstitious. It's like the fact that, like, bear is not actually the term for bears. It's in like historical etymology, it's actually just a term for, like, the brown thing, the thing that we don't talk about, because invoking its actual name summons it, which is a really common concept behind a lot of stuff. Yeah, it's I don't know, people are superstitious, and I am one of them. So yeah, here we are. Anywho. Let's see, where were we? Okay, you hear a rustling sound behind you. Glory. Turning, you can see a troubled look on her face. That ominous feeling is getting stronger, Sheela. Feels like we're being watched. I don't remember the consequences of pushing further on this. Speaking of getting spooked. Yeah, okay. I'll leave it alone for now. Oh my goodness, I don't have decking 5. Leave the terminal alone. Alright, well, let's see if we can get in there somehow. Doorway shimmers with a faint red light. As you approach it, you can feel a squirming sensation in the back of your skull. But your limbs begin to tingle, then feel heavy. The closer that you get to the doorway, the more of a struggle it is to continue forward. It feels as though the strength is being siphoned from your body. No, it didn't feel like you were talking down to me. Like, it was a good prompt for a conversation, because you were making sure that we were on the same page, and I do appreciate that. Because yeah, no, there is still, in the way that we discuss First Nations folks, a lot of infantilization of the culture, despite the fact that they created full-on metroplexes in the United States before their own environmental collapse that killed something like 90% of their population before Europeans even showed up, which is a whole historical concept that most people don't even realize is a thing. Like, it's one of those, like, the whole reason why, like, if you look at it historically and anthropologically, the whole reason why a lot of First Nations cultures, or at least the extant cultures, have such huge respect for nature is because they experienced their own environmental collapse and understood how it happened, or at least had, if not a scientific understanding of it, then a spiritual understanding of it, which was their own interpretation of the actual science behind it. But I'll come back to that, like, put a pin in that. And we're trying, quite frankly, to warn the Europeans. Like, the whole concept of, like, when Europeans showed up, they thought the East Coast was an Eden, was because the First Nations folks in that region had literally moved mountains to concentrate forests and things like that over the span of generations in order to essentially build an environment that was the best possible thing for them. In order to reduce the amount of work they would need to do, in order to increase their comfort and all of those sorts of things. And unfortunately, what happens when you dig up really, really deep bits of soil is you release bacteria and mold and things that really, really like to eat the human nervous system. And gee, I wonder why that mythology then has evil spirits that can take you in the night. Well, yeah, when you can't see the things that are itty-bitty squirming around in your bloodstream, you need to find some books about the Algonquian people. I read a lot about the Ojibwe, and it was, 1, deeply fascinating, and 2, unbelievably sad. Oh yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's a lot. It's
Mom,
just a lot.
have you seen Mr.
Hello?
Grumbles?
No, sweetie, where did you lose track of her?
Can you help me find her?
Sure thing. Okay. History certainly is. It's... Well, and especially when one group goes through something awful and tries to warn others about it, and then the others don't listen because they look different or they sound different or they are just of a different religion. You know? It's like, okay, guys, but they're trying to warn you for a reason. Oh well. Oh well. Then again, Europeans are also have in the past been and led to USians currently being extremely superstitious in weird and interesting ways, like the whole Roanoke thing. Like, we know what happened to those folks. They went to a different island. They integrated into a local First Nation society. I can't remember which tribe it was, but like, they left a note. For fuck's sake, they left a fucking note. They said, hey, we're going over here. And then everybody's still, to this day, like, oh, well, what happened with them? Did y'all not notice the suspicious number of blue-eyed people in this tribe over here? You're gearing up to read King Leopold's Ghost now, which is a whole other beast. Ooh, I'm not actually familiar with that one. Or at least, I'm not familiar off the top of my head. Write up something for me while I'm on break. I'll read it when I get back, okay? So we're going to go for a 5-minute break here. So stand up, stretch, do all that and whole thing. Oh, that one! Oh, that history! Yeah, that's a whole thing. But anyway, we'll talk more about this when I get back, alright? Alrighty, sweetie. So, I need to do laundry yet. That's always my first thing, but it is always a good place to find her. She loves warm spots. Alright, we are back. Woo. Okay, well let's see if we can figure out where we need to go next here. As you step away from the door, the crawling sensation gradually recedes. A moment later, their strength returns to your limbs. Rory stares into the light, frowning. The shrine room is through there, but this barrier wasn't here before. Hera must have warded the doorway after he ran. How do we get through then? The ward is a lock. There must be a key. I know who has it. There's only one person here that Hera would offer it to. Marta. She nods. Looks like we're going to have to confront her after all. Razors flick out of her fingers. Let's go. But yeah, getting back to the relationship between this game and First Nations folks. So obviously they weren't always treated properly because like this was written by a bunch of white guys in the 80s originally. But they did a hell of a lot better of a job than a lot of other groups. Nah, hang on, let's go down the hallway. And especially when you get into like 4th and 5th edition, they did a lot of work to try and like fill out the history of this world in a way that was, if not always respectful, at least believable. Oh, we gotta open the door. The initiate closest to the door whips his head up to look at you. He takes a stutter step backwards in alarm. He opens his mouth to cry for help. You don't want to do that. Rory looks deep in the initiate's eyes, transfixing him. We're not here to hurt you. We're friends of Hera's. Don't bother calling Marta out here. We're just going in there to have a word with her. You think one of the reasons why the cyberpunk genre feels so real, urgent, and aware is that it was always pioneered by the oppressed? Yes. And like, that was always the point of the stories. And that's the thing, with cyberpunk, it's very much in that part of sci-fi that is dealing with real-life problems. So, like, every issue that you think about when you think of, like, cyberlimbs and things like that is happening to real people now, today, who need medical devices to survive. Even people who need particularly strong glasses. Like, I myself, quite frankly, would not be able to function in society if I could not have glasses. If I did not have an affordable way to just put a piece of fucking, like, plastic in front of my eyes and make them work. You know, that's not to say things like canes, walkers, wheelchairs, like the little scoot-about things, that I cannot remember the name of. And then we get into the actual, like, limb replacement stuff. Like, Cyberpunk, the setting was the brainchild of a black man. Sort of? I don't, like, I know that Cyberpunk, the game, was, Mike Pondsmith, but hang on just a second. I need to look at, what was the actual identity of the guy who, wrote Snow Crash? Because I'm pretty sure he was white. I could be wrong. Yeah, Neil Stevenson. And his novels were the ones that are kind of like, it's not true, he wasn't the very first one, but he was the one who kind of shaped what cyberpunk eventually became. But yes, Mike Pondsmith, he was a fucking absolute boss, and still is. Yeah, Neil Stevens. If you've not heard of Snow Crash, that is it's not the true origin of cyberpunk. Arguably, there's an earlier short story involving what was referred to as a think tank, I think. But it was about a tank pilot who was directly connected into his tank via like neural wiring. Let me see. Tank pilot wired into his vehicle. Nope. Unfortunately, just writing or looking for a cyberpunk story brings up the cyberpunk video game because Google is broken. Was it just called Think Tank? It's a novella. A lot of these come up with like World War II stories, which is not what I'm after. Think first, cyberpunk story. Maybe this will bring it up. Low life, high tech, etymology. Oh, it's okay. The term specifically originated in 1983 with a short fiction story by Bruce Bethke, published in Amazing Stories. That's... William Gibson is another good one. Michael Moorcock. Pondsmith is married to his wife Lisa Pondsmith, whom he met in a role-playing group while wearing mirror shades, an army jacket, and a 9-inch knife. The Mike Pondsmith Wikipedia article holds wonders. Oh, it does. Oh, it does. Mike Pondsmith is such a cool dude. Like, my favorite factoid about him is that when the early 90s TTRPG crash happened, he was smart enough to see it coming and folded our Talsorian Games intentionally, paid all of his employees a year's worth of salary, and said, hey, good luck to you. I wish you luck in finding other jobs. The market is taking a downturn. We're gonna close up shop for a little while and hold out as best we can. And then he offered to rehire all of them when like the economics of bringing the company back made sense. Not all of them came back, but the fact that he gave everybody a year's salary to, yeah, exactly, fucking damn, right? Good guy, absolutely amazing dude. But anyway, we're going super far down a rabbit hole at this point. The initiate eyes you nervously. His gaze flits to Glory, then falls to her cyber limbs. He swallows. Yeah, okay. He takes a step back. You do that. But yeah, William Gibson is also another great author to look into here. And like, that's the whole thing. Like, they're from that era of sci-fi writers that was actually tapped in, like with the countercultural movement, not just like performative hippies or anything like that, but people who actually hung out with others who were outside of their background and from outside their like financial class and all those sorts of things, and saw how fucked up the world was, and started going, hey, why are we doing this? Why do we do this to other people? We have the resources to make everyone's lives better. Why aren't we doing it? Who are you who are so wise in the ways of tabletop? I am a second-generation tabletop player who has been playing since those bad, heady days of the early 90s. My dad was the one who got me into this, got me into anime and manga, all of those sorts of things. Like, one of my earliest memories is sitting on a couch and watching Akira and then 8th MS Team, or not 8th MS Team, 0083 Stardust Memories. That'll do it. Your folks bought into the Satanic Panic, so it was very, very potent for your early life. Yeah. No, both my parents are in live entertainment as an industry, and on my dad's side, both my grandfather and my great-great-grandfather were not pacifists, but they were definitely countercultural people, because like my granddad served in World War II, as did my grandmother as a nurse, and they were both you know that old phrase about like there are no like atheists in foxholes? According to them, that could not be more wrong, because both of them came back fully fucking convinced that we should never be involved in another war again. And so that's when my dad was, you know, very much a hippy-dippy kind of guy in the 60s and 70s. This very gruff grandfatherly type who ran a mechanic shop. You know, people would be like, oh, your son has like long hair and is smoking the weed. He'd be like, yeah, so? He's not killing people. On your mother's side, you're a clown, so that's something. You want a balloon dog? You reckon one shelling would be sufficient to break the faith of most people? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, especially if you were serving in France. Whoa. Oh. Anywho. Yes, a balloon dog would be nice. The initiate by the door is staring at Glory's limbs, her eyes wide. She's a mousy little thing, probably somewhere in the vicinity of 17 years old, with purple contact lenses and a shock of blue hair. She glances up at Glory, blinking. You used to live here, didn't you? I've seen your picture before. Glory's expression remains neutral. Really? I think so. I didn't look at it long. It was in a room that I wasn't supposed to be in. I'm pretty sure that it was you. It probably was. You're right. I did live here. A long time ago. I was like you back then. A scared kid brought here by Marta for a chance at a new life. I like Marta. She's so nice. I always feel safe when I'm with her. Most adults aren't like that. They either don't notice you, or they do it for the wrong reasons. Marta, she cares about us. There's a long pause, and then the initiate looks at you, screwing up her courage. She speaks. Can I ask you a question? Go ahead. I overheard Marta talking with Mr. Harrow yesterday. I think that they were talking about our meeting with him. One that Marta was telling us about. We'll learn to see the world in a different way. Go on. I couldn't really hear the whole conversation. It was all muffled, but what I could hear was kind of weird. Mr. Harrow said some stuff about a shrine, and then it sounded like he changed the subject. He started talking about dinner. Something about chopping up meat. Marta got real upset. Said, they're too new, they're not ready. Make the older ones do it. Stuff like that. Then Mr. Harrow said some other things, and then she calmed down again. When she left, she was smiling. So, I was just wondering, you know what they were talking about? I want to make sure that Marta is okay, but I can't ask her about it because I don't want her to find out that I was eavesdropping. I think that I know what Harrow has planned for you. Have you ever opened the fridge in the other room? No. Why? Is that where we're going to make dinner? Lori cuts in, her voice is gentle. I wouldn't worry about it. We'll make sure that Marta is okay. Alright. Don't tell her that I told you, please. Don't worry, we won't. How long have you been here, by the way? Almost a week. She shuffles her feet. Eventually, she looks up with a small smile. Wonderful. Of course it is. So much nicer than living on the street, isn't it? Rory's face is kind, but her tone is one of incredible sorrow. You be good, sweetie. Don't you worry. We'll take care of Marta. The girl smiles sheepishly and steps back. As you pass by her on your way to the door, Rory shoots you a sidelong glance. It's like I thought. Things have changed in the past few years. Does it make sense if you say that you love the writing in this game for how delicate it is? Absolutely it does. That's the thing about the best Shadowrun stories, is that they deal with incredibly heavy topics that are difficult to talk about in, as you say, delicate ways. Like, the entire scenario that we're going through right now is cult deprogramming. and getting revenge on those who would harm others. And yet, Glory sees this young woman and actually stops us from telling her a terrible truth. She feels pity for her and wants to protect her. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. How so? Back when I lived here, Hera would never have let such a fresh convert prepare a sacrifice. He'd wait until she was so deep, until she felt so indebted to him that she couldn't turn tail and run. It was a rule. You let newcomers get settled for a month, maybe 2, before teaching them the more unsavory aspects of cult life. Even then, you'd start them off slow. Their first lessons would be use pork or chicken, never human meat. It didn't come until much, much later. Indoctrinating a new recruit after a week is risky as hell. We never would have done it when I lived here. Shrine. He's using it to brainwash the initiates faster than he used to. Glory nods. That's what I'm thinking. Arrow's getting lazy, letting his captive spirit do the heavy lifting for him. So what does that mean for us? I'm still working on that, but I don't think that the shrine is just a tool for Harrow anymore. I think that he relies on it. He's using it as a crutch. She cocks her head slightly, a thoughtful expression on her face. I think that he's let himself become dependent on the damn thing. The girl is never going to have to do what we saw back in the kitchen. We won't let that happen. Rory nods, a fierce look in her eye. On that we are agreed. Marta is just on the other side of this door. However this goes, we're going to have to move quickly afterward. If she dies, Hera will know it, and I don't trust her to keep her mouth shut if she lives. So we take the key to the shrine room, break through the ward, and confront the spirit. Are we clear on that? Okay, the only thing that I can think of that I might want to deal with first would be reading further in that book, possibly, but I genuinely don't remember how, like, what the consequence of doing so is. Goodness gracious, excuse me. Alright, I think we need to step back. I think we need to get more information. Something in what the young lady said has me thinking that Marta is under his sway, for lack of a better term. Like, we already know that he holds power over her. Leafing through the middle of the book, you find a section dedicated to Harrow's rules of living. Be free. Be free in all things and experience that freedom with your whole being, body, mind, and spirit. Discard the oppressive traditions of modesty and shame that you've been indoctrinated with since birth. The freethinker has no use for them. Your body is a source of pride, of pleasure, and of succor, for yourself and for others. Enjoy it and share that joy freely with those who desire it. Again, man is using good words to perform evil. Be selfish, yeah. Don't enslave yourself to others at the expense of your own happiness. Take what you want and do so unashamedly. That sounds good on the surface, but it's libertarian dreck. Our desires are an important part of what makes us human. Society has trained us to hide that part of ourselves from the world. A free living person doesn't cower in the shadows. Own your desires and rejoice in them. Selfishness or selflessness is ultimately dishonest, and dishonesty is no place in a free society. Now see, that's the thing. The middle paragraph is fairly true. Desires are an important part of what makes us people, and unfortunately, society has trained us to hide that part of ourselves from the world. Owning your desires and rejoicing in them, however, does not mean that you have to do so at the cost of others' happiness. And that's the thing that he's really saying when he says don't enslave yourself to others' expense, or at the expense of your own happiness, and that selflessness is ultimately dishonest. The inability for some people to feel happiness by helping others is quite frankly abominous. Abominous? No, that's not a conjugation there. An abomination to me. Shades of co-opting mental health terminology for ill deeds. Exactly. That is exactly what he's doing here. Choosing to adopt abominous as a term. Hey, fair enough. Because yeah, like helping others selflessly can bring great joy, and quite frankly, it is a selfish act sometimes to help others, because you know by lifting them up, by seeing them become happier, that will turn into more happiness for more people. And quite frankly, that is a selfish thing for me. I like doing that because I know, ha ha ha, I made a difference in the world. He he, ho ho ho, ha ha ha, tee hee. These two things are not incompatible, you know? And here we go. Genuinely, it feels good to know that you've helped someone out. Exactly. But then we're also about to disagree with the thing that he just said, because the next thing right after is show reverence. Oh, really? So you're supposed to be selfish and look out for your own happiness, but you're also supposed to show reverence. The free-living person understands that the only true governance in this world is the law of nature, and that in nature there is a hierarchy. The rabbit doesn't question the wolf. The mouse does not wonder why it must run from the cat. They do because they must. Their survival depends on it. As it is in nature, so it is in Fürstelle. You know your place in the food chain and understand the mechanisms by which you can better yourself. Empathy for thee, but not for me. Yeah, the show reverence and know your place. Like, God, that phrase. Know your place. Good lords. You leaf forward and find that there are at least 20 more pages worth of rules. Each is worded vaguely enough to have multiple interpretations. The final pages of the manifesto devolve into semi-cohesive rants about anarchy, social Darwinism, free love, and the horned god. You've seen this kind of thing before. Pharaoh's philosophy is collapsing under its own weight. Fortunately, none of his cultists seem to have caught on to that fact. Laura lets out a startled cry, cutting your sentence short. Out of the corner of your eye, you see her wheel to face something behind you. All at once, the room fills with a slaughterhouse smell. A smell like blood and bile and feces, the stench of an abattoir. Ooh, having that sound effect in my headset is... My father always threw around the term scuzz bucket for folks like this. Yeah. I could be mean and say, you know, the term that I grew up with for people like this was preacher, but I'm not feeling quite that venomous right now. But anywho, it looks like a charred man. Oh, as you turn, you catch sight of something sliding into the world. It looks like a charred man with a pair of tortured faces where its shoulders should be. The thing burns like a Roman candle, spitting white-hot sparks in a fiery plume. An oily substance runs down in between its dangling legs, batters onto the floor. And where those drips land, they burn. Sheela, look out! Oh! Parents are Pentecostal, so they never really caught onto the whole grift. Yeah! Like, I was in the interesting, like, side statement of, like, my parents encouraged me to try out religions, any that I could gain access to, through my various friends growing up. And they were just like, no, let her explore, let her figure it out on her own. And, you know, they would ask me questions about things that I learned and things that I heard from various preachers and the like. And, we would just talk about contradictions and things like that. Which, yep. Really great for, figuring out some things very quickly and at a very young age. Body of the thing, and I should mention, that is the person behind Sheela, not Sheela. Sheila's got a whole different, well, not entirely different relationship with religion, but, it's a whole thing. There is a lot of lore there, but it is what it is. Comes of existing in a fantasy world where the gods are, physically real people you can go and talk to if you know where to look. The body of the thing that attacked you begins to dissolve at the moment of death. As you watch, its tissues begin to break down into a growing slick of bubbling pitch and rendered fat. You were driven away from theology for probably obvious reasons. For a while as a teen, it manifested as anti-theism, but you come to understand the difference between people who actively attempt to do good because of their religion and people who weaponize it. Like many other things, I am of a complicated feeling about that, because if you really boiled my feelings down to the most basic of basic stuff, I could still technically be classified as an anti-theist. But that ignores all of the other nuance on top of it. Because do I believe the world would be a better place if people fully lived in reality and saw what was happening right in front of their faces and weren't affected by the stories of the dead? The necrocracy that most religions are. Yes, I do believe that. But I have also experienced enough of the world to know that that is an impossibility. That's not how people's brains work. People are governed by stories. It is just a thing. Language is the thing that sets us apart from all other animals. Not to say that other animals can't develop language, and there are even some interesting suggestions that some of them are, but beyond basic language, it's the ability to hold an idea of something that is not real and take something interesting from it, to draw inspiration from it, that makes us people, that makes us a functional society. We are driven by stories as a result of that. And so religion will always be a part of that. I mentioned earlier that I am superstitious, but not religious. That a lot of those superstitions comes from having been born into and raised in a weird melange of cultural, spaces, and from the fact that I grew up in entertainment. I grew up, if you know anything about the entertainment industry, particularly the theater industry, there still to this day is a huge Jewish population in that area because storytelling is such a big part of their religion. And on top of that, it was also a huge influence on the vaudeville era. It was a huge influence on early film era, all of those sorts of things. So especially if you grow up in places where there were a lot of old folks, you're gonna run into those areas. And not to dox myself, but I grew up backstage of a theater called Theater Winter Haven in Florida that was run by a wonderful man named Norman Small, and a huge part of the audience were, when I was very, very young, Holocaust survivors. So even though I don't have that history in me, it almost feels like it's a part of me because it's something I grew up around. On top of that, I did mention earlier that I have some First Nations background. I didn't spend too terribly much time with that part of the family, but enough that, some of those basic superstitions still worked their way in. Theater on its own has its own cultural thing about, like I mentioned, you don't whistle backstage. There are practical reasons for that originally, because, the whole idea of rigging in theater started as a branch off of actual, sailing ship rigging. And so, a lot of the early technicians back in, the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s were basically just sailors who were off ship for a given period of time, because sailors use a whistle language to indicate when certain, sails should be raised, when things should be tightened, all that sort of stuff, that same whistle language is used backstage to communicate, okay, raise batten 3, drop batten 4, change weight on line set 5, that sort of a thing. So if you whistled backstage, you might be about to get a 2,000-pound steel beam, combined with all of the equipment that's been attached to it, dropped on your fucking head. So don't whistle backstage. Do we still do that? No, we have clear comms now. But the superstition remains. The whole thing about like ghost lights on stage. You don't put out a ghost light because you're trying to chase away ghosts. The reason for a ghost light is to stop other people from becoming ghosts when they walk off the edge of the damn stage and take a 20-foot fall into the goddamn pit. So, like, superstition, it gets built in because these are rules that exist for a reason, but you want to teach them to people as young as possible, often before they are capable of understanding the actual meaning behind the rules. Okay, and I've been yapping for a bit, so give me just a second to bring the chat up so I can actually read all of it. When it comes to e.g. hierarchical structures, you're utterly against it, but one of your best friends growing up was and is a very sweet Muslim woman who draws inspiration from kindness for her faith. Exactly. Like, as long as people are drawing things that make the world a better place from their faith, go to town. Do it. It's a necessity, but I'll take a good thing at face value. Fair enough. Pragmatism is a large part of your worldview. And your very first job was at a nursing home in a tiny little town, and you had the privilege of meeting some extraordinary people that, including one 100-year-old Holocaust survivor who constantly challenged CNAs to step outside for a fight. Oh yeah. The mix of personalities from those folks was always a hoot. We called her grandma. She ruled. Yep. Because, there are so many ways that you can be for having survived those sorts of things, and some people came out of it utterly broken, some people came out of it tougher than ever, but oh goodness gracious, who was it who said it? But that experience was an apocalypse. The person who they were, the person who they could have been, did not survive. And Grandma was absolutely a fighter. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, because how else can you be? In every sense of the word, exactly. How else can you be surviving something like that? You have to fight the world. You have to fight for your survival and to prove that you... Oh, goodness gracious. Oh. Okay. Sorry, I went down a rabbit hole of memories of people. Just half-remembered flashes of some of the most joyful people I've ever met in my entire life. Simply because it was a new day. They knew that there was a world in which they didn't get to witness it. We're really talking about everything but the game, but that's the thing. We're talking about stuff that is directly related to the game because that same good feeling of trying to spread joy in the world through beliefs and to guide people to do better things for reasons they don't understand is exactly the reason why cults like the one that Glory was tricked into work on people and turn that joyous energy into something sour that drains all of the life out of them, and that's why we're here to fight it. So, moving on. What the hell was that? What an appropriate line. Something from another place. Glory stares at the remains of the creature, now a dark stain on the library's floorboards. Like I said outside, the boundaries between the physical world and astral space are weak here. Things can come through. The headless abomination just pissed lighter fluid onto the floor and tried to burn us to death. I think that things can come through is underselling it a bit. She shrugs. Semantics. Now can we please get out of here before it happens again? Yeah, good plan. Well, we certainly learned a lot about Harrow's beliefs and all that. But it's worth it. I mean, even, and this is something I've talked to Ogre Daddy about before, even the, okay, hang on, real quick. Here's the game pointing out that we just did the right thing because the step back is a different option this time. It doesn't have any suggestion that, you know, maybe there might be something else we want to go check out, so we definitely gained something from that. But anywho, yeah, I've talked to Ogre Daddy about this before, and the fact that, like, this game is inextricably tied into how Germans themselves feel about religion. It's not something that I personally understand because I didn't grow up in that culture, but the interweaving of older pre-Christian European beliefs with the new Christian ones that were imposed during the expansion of the Roman Empire, and how that even in the modern world those two sides are at odds with each other and yet have mixed in ways that are unique to the culture. And that sometimes people go even harder on things than anything else because they're trying to get rid of the old culture. But if that's kind of a worldwide story, especially anywhere that's been colonized. All right, let's confront Marta. The woman in this room is lovely. Full lips contrast artfully with her fine elvish features, and a tumble of fire-red hair spills down over her shoulders. Beyond her physical beauty, there's something inherently approachable about her. She exudes an almost palpable aura of kindness and warmth. Marta, Glory's old lover, the lure that Harrow used to draw her and so many others to Fjordstella. She looks up with a start at the sound of your approach. Her eyes go wide at the sight of Glory. She takes in her cyberware, her mouth falls open in horror. Glory? Yes, Marta, it's me. Glory's voice is cold. It's been a long time. It has. Marta swallows. A horrified look hasn't left her face. Glory, what have you done to yourself? What I had to do. I got out, Marta. This was the only way. Glory. All at once, the horror on Marta's face is replaced with an expression of profound sorrow. I'm so sorry. Marta steps forward, her arms extended to wrap Glory in a hug. All at once, something in Glory's face changes. Her skin goes from pale to pallid, and her breath becomes ragged. She takes a step back and raises her claws into a defensive posture. Her voice frosts over with cold rage. Don't you touch me. You're one of Harrow's creatures. You always were. Marta stops short. One of his creatures? Glory, what are you talking about? I know what she's talking about, Marta. You ruined her life.
Brought a gross bug inside again.
Sweetie, you scared me. Did he let it loose, or does he still have
It's
a
in a
hold of it?
jar, but Lynn's looking at it like it's candy.
Of course she is. Okay, give me a second. I have a solution. I'll be with you in just a second. Okay, I didn't tell the kids about this, but my last grocery trip, I bought myself a jar of jelly beans. I think I'm going to be able to trick Lynn into going for that instead of the bug, but yeah, it's kind of a weird situation with her sometimes. We'll be back in 5 minutes. I'll run a commercial while we're away, and I will see you all on the other side of this, hopefully with the littlest one not having eaten a bug. Okay. Alright, see you soon. Alright, so just make sure that he keeps the jar lid closed. And don't tell your siblings about these Magmorphies, okay? Jelly beans. Listen, you can't judge me for buying a jar of jelly beans just for myself. The Costco had the Starburst ones, and they only have those seasonally. So, Marta's jaw drops open in shock, and her cheeks blush red. Her father ruined her life years before we even met. I didn't do anything. If you'd just left me where you found me, you never would have hurt anyone. Oh, side note, really fun how you implemented that history of stagecraft to your stream. Listen, I have considered doing honest-to-goodness stagecraft classes via stream in the past. As I mentioned, the person behind Sheela actually was a college professor, specifically who focused on stagecraft for years. And even though I am not currently employed to do that, I do still have all of my old classroom materials, which includes like lecture slides and things like that. If I can find a way to actually like make that fun, only ever referring to you as the professor from here on out. Hey, I mean, fair enough, fair enough. But yeah, if I could figure out a way to make that fun for everybody, I would absolutely love to do that. But that's a whole other thing to discuss. Because yeah, there's a lot in theater history that is tied in with just the evolution of culture and how stuff talks to each other. Like how, I mean, goodness gracious, even some of the ways that we think of with signaling in like computers and things started out as theatrical solutions to problems that don't exist elsewhere. Like, for instance, one of the most efficient and effective way of packaging data packets is the DMX512 packet structure, which is almost exclusively used to control theater lights and other similar devices, despite how stable it is. Let's see. I mean, I think it'd be fun by default. I've seen streams for stuff like voice training for trans women on here that, while not really applicable to you, is extremely spiriting to see. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Not saying that I've watched a couple of those streams, but I am extremely glad for the fact that I was raised in entertainment and by somebody who was a trained voice actor, because it helped my own journey be a lot more smooth, shall we say. And I actually talked to you about that. Did we talk about that? The DMX512 stuff? Because, oh my goodness, is it such a fucking useful packet structure. Other things you can look at are the Dante communication system for theatrical audio. And then there is, I want to say it's audio-video bridging or audio-video protocol, which is a newer version that modern Dante is actually being built on top of, but is an open format thing. Something about the infrastructure behind AV engineering for entertainment with this bespoke product. Yeah. So DMX512 is the standardized packet structure that has actually existed since like 1985 in its current form. That's how stable it is. That's how good it is. That's how forward thinking it was designed to be. We can still control fully modern systems that are expanded way beyond anything we could have done in 1985 with this same packet structure because of the fact we were planning ahead about it. And on top of that, that's not even using the full cabling system that was originally developed for it. So DMX cables are 5-pin cables. To this day, by standard, most applications still only use 3 of those pins. There's still another 2 whole pins in the physical infrastructure that could be used for two-way communication that still isn't used. We still have massive overhead in data speeds as a result of that. It's fucking phenomenal. But again, that is such a niche thing that a lot of people outside the entertainment industry struggle with that sort of thought process, because they're like, oh, but we only made the physical structure well enough to handle what we were doing at the time. No, build yourself out ahead of time. Build it out better than what you need now, so that you'll have it when you need it, you know? Anywho, Yeah, being able to send 16K video to massive LED walls in fractions of a second. We're talking like 3 zeros after the decimal before you see a real number, kind of a thing. Okay, you found it at the Katai server. Kicked off with me being surprised that 240 volt was used in the US when you thought it was exclusive to Europe. Oh, don't even get me started on 240 volt. Oh my goodness. Just the fact that we break the phases apart into wimpy little 120 volt phases, like, and then people get, wonder why they have to like have special licensing to actually deal with their like breaker boxes. It's like, well, yeah, because the actual electricity that you're getting is 240 volt. We have the power. Well, the reason why we settled for less was because fires kept happening. Because unlike Europe, apparently, we can't just actually, enforce safety standards. So it was an easier solution to essentially power, shunt the power at the breaker box, or at the fuse box, than it was to get construction company owners to buy the right fucking kind of wire to install in walls so that it wouldn't burn things down. Anywho. Game time. Glory says, if you'd just left me where you found me, I never would have hurt anybody. My mother would still be alive. I never would have sold my soul to that abomination that you all worship. I wouldn't have had to sacrifice my own body to escape from it. This place took everything from me. And it all started with you. She looks genuinely hurt. Remember when I rescued you from a life on the street? Beautiful girl, homeless, penniless, living in a gutter, I pulled you away from all of that. Saved you. The place you work at builds friction welders that use more energy than a house to run, and we have to fly in experts from Europe to plan out our mini electrical grid. It's kind of nuts. Oh, I can imagine that. I don't have any personal experience with friction welding, but... Woo! Oh yeah, no, the amount of electricity that I can imagine you would need for something like that. Oof. Glory pauses. It's a long pause. She stares into Marta's eyes, her expression unreadable. I don't feel much anymore, Marta. Most of the time I'm completely numb. But for you, I can make an exception. I hate you. I'm sorry that you feel that way, Glory. On my part, I still love you. Razors flick out of Glory's fingertips. Her lip curls into a snarl. Another lie. Last one you'll ever tell. It's kind of nuts. They spin different types of metals with different melting points together real fast under unfathomable pressure to fuse them securely. It's pretty neat. And you just write out internal software, and as it's a mid-sized company, double as IT. Ooh, fun. Okay, that is... Okay. I thought that's what friction welding was, but I didn't want to open my mouth and say something that was stupid. But yeah, no, I can't imagine, right? No, I shouldn't say I can't imagine. I can imagine the kind of math that goes into ensuring that both materials reach an actual melting point, despite having different melting points. Yeah, the pressure has to be a part of that. And she said, oh goodness, I know just enough about this area of science that, I can see the edges of where everything is, and I understand how dangerous it could be if it went wrong. If you've ever heard the click when a plane deploys its landing gear, you made that part neat. Very cool. I don't think that she's lying, or at least she doesn't think so. She believes what she's saying. It's because it's true. I'll prove it to you. The words come stammering out of her. Her eyes are fixed on Glory's razors. Ask me anything you want. I'll show you that I'm telling the truth. I never wanted anything bad to happen to you, Glory. Ever. Why are you listening to her? Glory says as she wheels to face me. She's just telling you what you want to hear. Her whole purpose here, remember? She's bait. Why should we listen to anything that she has to say? I love talking to your control engineers because they're very good at translating smart talk to real words. 5 millimeters of wobbling on a spindle can make or break a machine. Oh, yeah! holy shit, 5mm is a lot. Like, so that was one of the, okay, that was one of the weirdest things and the funniest moments whenever I had a student who was previously like an architect or construction person, something like that, where, you know, they can be inaccurate, and as long as it's within like a foot, it should be good. And when I would tell them, hey, you need to be able to build this to within 1/8 of an inch of tolerance for basic stuff, and then as you get better, we're going to expect even more accuracy from you, they would kind of go aghast and go, but why does it need to be that accurate? And it's like, well, because we're making temporary structures out of materials that you would never even use in architectural things. Like the things that we could do with basic spruce, pine, and fir, like cheap ass whitewood, we're talking like, honestly, we're talking like grade, I'm gonna say like 2A maybe. What would otherwise be considered like construction grade or contractor grade. And then like drywall screws, things that were not meant for what we had to do with them because that's what the money was there for, you know? Exactly. Specialized engineering is deeply fascinating. And it's so interesting how it wraps back around on itself, because y'all are doing specialized engineering for extremely expensive, extremely high stress situations. But so are we with completely different materials. Because, for instance, one of my favorite factoids to share with people is, did you know that a ballet dancer who is on point and makes a jump and then lands on point for a fraction of a second exerts the same amount of force as an elephant taking a step? Because that's the amount of pressure your platforms have to be able to support, even though they're made out of basic 2x4s and plywood. Yeah! So granted, these are temporary structures. They only need to last the 2 weeks or so, maybe a month or so of, oh yeah, never upset ballerinas. That's a whole other thing. I'll come back to that in a second. But yeah, like that's the thing. It is a temporary structure made out of cheap materials that has to be able to stand up to that sort of pressure. That's specialized engineering, if nothing else, you know? But yeah, no, just generally speaking, if you are ever backstage during a dance concert, hug the walls. Do not be between where the dancers are at and where they are going. Because dance is an incredibly stressful thing on your body. There is a reason why most dancers look like their cheekbones could cut glass. And it's the fact that they are all muscle and bone, and they are extremely precise. And the thing is, they generally are going to have about 30 seconds to a minute between one number and their next number to get changed out of one costume to the other. So if you happen to be in between them and their destination, they're not going to stop. They look like nothing. They look like a stiff breeze could blow them over because they weigh 100 pounds, 120 pounds, like nothing, right? They will hit you with the force of a linebacker and you will go down. I promise you, they will not slow down, you will go down. You're distinctly not a dancer. The sheer control of it always impressed you. Exactly. These are some of the highest level physical athletes you can possibly imagine. And it's actually part of the reason, or that's a big part of the reason why it's so destructive to people's bodies. One of my siblings actually has an MFA in dance and athletic science, specifically doing their thesis on ways to keep dancers healthy longer and thus extend their careers in ways that don't destroy them. Your choice to be the one playing the music was largely the sheer joy of bass, and on some level the fear of ever doing any athletics like that. Hey, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, it is astonishing how much science and engineering and, you know, actual like high level athleticism goes into creating something that most people think of as simple as theater. It's this weird dichotomy of, you know, a technician's job is only done right when nobody ever notices them doing it. But as a result of that, a lot of people tend to think that it all just happens by magic, you know? And that works against technicians when it comes to terms of like pay and hours worked and all those sorts of things, because techs work our asses off. We have to, otherwise things don't happen. But then people don't actually see us working And they go, oh, well, it's, or we make it look simple because we have such a deep understanding of these things. And people go, oh, well, you didn't really do much. Motherfucker, what? You kidding? All applied science can at some level be boiled down to feel, but the precision doesn't care how you arrive at that point. Exactly. It's once you get to a certain level of understanding of applied science, you are not actively thinking about the principles that you are applying. You just know to do them. Another great example. There is a show called Spring Awakening. And the last production of that I worked on had a large central platform that was 30 feet on a side. So big, huge 30 by 30 by 30 square. You with me? This was catty corner to the front of the stage. So you have one corner pointing downstage towards the audience and another corner pointing upstage towards the back wall. Still with me, right? Over that 45-foot distance, it had a 3-degree rake. Already a nightmare, because we're not talking flat face to flat face, so the legs in the back are just uniformly taller. We're going corner to corner 3-degree rake, which means that the legs that are supporting this thing are actually diagonal to the direction of the rake, which means that we are now having to deal with what's referred to as a compound miter. A compound miter means that the saw is cutting at 2 different angles at once. Cool, bad enough. On the legs, you can kind of fudge it and do it as a single miter, and it's mostly fine. It's mostly fine. You can put some shims under there for extra support. The designer of this particular show put columns running along the back edges of that platform that were themselves plumb to the floor, which means we had to do 2 miter cuts in opposing directions, or I shouldn't say opposing, in parallel directions that were each something like 1.1 something degree miter cuts, so that when they were placed on top of that platform, the combined difference in the miters equaled the 3 degrees over 45 feet, and thus the columns looked like they were straight up and down, i.e. plumb to the floor, despite sitting on a platform that had a 3-degree rake over 45 feet. No joke, I am not joking when I say that to check our math, we took it to somebody in the mathematics department with the college and made them cry because they could not fathom why we were doing such complicated and precise math. The infamous Van Halen brown M&M's only writer makes more and more sense every day that you live. I genuinely do not think you could be precise to 1.1 degree angle. Yeah, no, that was one of the... So, the whole point of this program was getting students up to that sort of level. That was the one time where I and some of the other professors looked at each other and went, no, we're going to have to be the ones to make these cuts. This has to be too precise. We are going to have to be the ones to make these cuts. There's nothing... We can't put this on the students. And we did it. We made it fucking work, but... Whew, it was a whole thing. Was for once the children who were wrong. And not for any lack of trying on their part. It's just... This was a 2-year program. These kids were not up to that job. That designer was also, quite frankly, a bad designer for that reason. His designs were fucking fantastic. Do not get me wrong. They expected a level of professionalism that just was impossible for the level that our students were at. You wouldn't ask a toddler to pay Jaco. Yeah, exactly. You just... Yeah. And they're I love giving students the ability to do new and cool and interesting things, but you have to at least remember that they are students. There may be things that need to be cut back in order to make the thing work. But anyway, I digress. Let's get back to the game. She's bait. Why would we listen to anything she has to say? Oh boy, games! Exactly. Cultists aren't responsible for their actions, right? This is true for Marta as it is for everyone else. She was here long before I was. Before Harrow started using the shrine. She made her own decisions, just like I did. No excuses. She's here because she wants to be. She brought me here because she wanted to. Her choice. That might have been true then, but she's been living under the shrine's influence for a long time now. She's no more in control of herself than anyone else here is. Maybe she's being compelled to lie to us. I'll accept that. It doesn't mean that we should trust her. Glory fidgets in agitation. We're wasting time. We need that key. If Harrow gets back here before we've dealt with that shrine, we're fucked. You need to hear what she has to say. If you don't, this is going to gnaw at you for the rest of your life, Glory. No, I don't think so. Her frown turns into a snarl. What'll gnaw at me is knowing that this bitch is still alive, still hurting innocent kids, still too blind to see Harrow for what he really is. As you watch, the hope dies from Marta's eyes. All you can read in her expression is pain. She swallows, hard, and exhales. Opens her mouth to speak. Then that strange whispering noise fills the back of your skull again, and the muscles in her face relax. Marta, no! Alright, Glory. Didn't want this, but you win. Her hands begin to glow. Let me show you what our husband has taught me since you disappeared. Hang on, I feel like that could have gone a different direction. I feel like I made a wrong choice somewhere there. Ah, beans. We're just gonna go through this because we did all of this already. We need to talk to her. Laurie cuts in. See, this is part of the reason why I think I did something wrong in that conversation with Marta. Because Glory does still feel good. So, okay, let's save here. Just to have a manual save. There we go. Oh, shit. Okay. This save is from all the way back before we did the thing in the office. Well, crap. Yep, there's that thing again. Ow. Relodoc, get on that. Nice. Again, picking all the same choices. And once we get here, I'll resave again so that we have an actual starting point now. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba. There we go. Okay, so we do have the information we need. Because again, the dialogue changed. done to yourself. This is the only way out. Don't touch me. I'm going to stick with this part of the discussion. Something strange is happening here. Let's try this instead. She nods eagerly, her eyes fixed on Glorious Razors. I'll prove it to you. Ask me anything. Oh, okay, so that answer is the same. Knowing how the shrine is affecting her mind might help us, Glory. She fumes at you, but only for a moment. You might be right. Marta looks from you to Glory, a confused expression on her face. Her voice goes quiet. There's nothing wrong with my mind, Glory. I don't even understand what you two are talking about. Okay, yep, we're definitely in a different conversational branch now. Of course you don't. I understand your interest in learning about this, Sheela, but we're wasting time and we need that key. If Hero gets back here before we've dealt with the shrine, we're fucked. I didn't turn my back on you, Glory. You shouldn't turn your back on her. Glory stares at you for a moment, naked hostility on her face. Then the razors slide back into their housings with a click. All right, Marta. Convince me. Convince you of what? That I'm not a monster? I don't know how to do that, Glory. You can start by telling me how you sleep at night. You know what happens to the kids that you bring here. You know what happened to me. You're still luring them here, into Harrow's clutches after all these years. So tell me, how do you live with yourself? Explain it to me. For a moment, you can see the conflict behind Marta's eyes. If cognitive dissonance had a face, it'd be hers. Confused, frightened, angry. At war with herself. For a moment, she struggles to speak. Then the whispering sensation that you felt outside of the compound comes back, and her face changes. The muscles of her brow relax, and she appears to be at peace. Why are you asking me this, Glory? You already know the answers. The kids here, they aren't being hurt. They're walking the path to a free and pure life, just like Harrow taught us. I haven't even been in Fürstelle for an hour, Marta. In that time, I've found evidence of horrifying levels of abuse. She flinches in agitation, but you hear the whispering again, and she calms herself. A joyful smile widens. Nothing that happens here is without reason. Harrow is a great man, a prophet. When you meet him for yourself, you'll understand. He'll make you see. She's too far gone to parse what you're saying, Sheela. After so many years living here, I don't even know if she even knows what normal feels like anymore. She steps forward and grabs Marta by the shoulders. It is curiously soft gesture. Marta, if what you're saying is true, if you ever really did care for me, please give me your key. It's important. She blinks. Key? Whatever you use to get past the wards outside of Harrow's shrine. I need it. Don't ask why, just do this for me. You owe me that much. She looks momentarily conflicted. Then the moment passes. No. Harrow said that I had to guard this. He told me that I could never take it off. I can't question one of Harrow's orders. It would be wrong. I feel like I'm gonna go for the sassy one here. Don't you see anything ironic about a cult devoted to freedom and rebellion with a totalitarian leader? She blinks. Clearly she doesn't understand. Marta, if Harrow actually believed in the rules that he's taught you, he wouldn't have a problem with you questioning his orders. She blinks, and that whispered sound returns, soft and insistent. The flicker of unease on her face is replaced with an easy smile. I just don't understand. I don't see the beauty of Harrow's vision. If you don't feel the love, then maybe you could explain it to me. Maybe if you could answer my questions, I'd be able to see the light. Yes, please, go on and ask your questions. I'll explain everything. And you'll see for yourself how perfect and right our way really is. How beautiful it can be. Harrow's hurting the runaways that you bring here. You can see that, can't you? Her smile shifts into an expression of mock concern. Hurting? How so? He's going to make the initiates, the young initiates, like the girl in the next room, do something horrible. Her smile slowly fades. That girl. Such a sweet young thing. I rescued her from a bad place, Glory. Her and the boys in that dorm as well. They're all safe now. Isn't that what's important? Are they? You know what I'm talking about, Marta. The harvesting. The meat. Confusion washes over her face again. She begins blinking agitatedly and fidgeting. Then that unseen force clamps down again, and she seems to calm. Oh goodness, excuse me. It's regrettable, but it happens for a good reason. The sacrifices keep us safe here, but safety is something that a lot of these kids have never known. The initiates here have to learn how things are done. Harrow told us so. That's what it all boils down to, doesn't it? It has to be this way because he says it does. He's a great man. He would never hurt us, whatever you say. You're taking everything out of context. You don't understand. He is corrupting you all. How many of them has he taken as his wives? Yourself included? She rolls her eyes at you. A lesson in Puritan values from a Shadowrunner. How quaint. Not making a value judgment, just an observation. No, the second one. There we are. This isn't about you. I don't care what you do, Marta. I'm talking about child abuse. Harrow doesn't take the young ones for wives. I don't know what Glory's told you, but he isn't a monster. Even the youngest initiates here aren't children. Really. Her voice goes soft. Life on the streets took that from them a long time ago. Stella lets them be themselves, but in a safe place. Certainly safer than the back alleys of some urban hellhole like the one that you live in. I was young when he chose me, Marta. Maybe not innocent, but young. Somewhere deep down you know that this is wrong. When you lived with us, you didn't think it was wrong. You loved it here. You can rewrite history to cast yourself as the victim if you want to. If demonizing me helps, you can do that too. Nobody ever forced you to do anything, Glory. Glory falls silent. Color drains from her face. This is clearly a difficult subject. I don't know what you were hoping to achieve by bringing it up, but I hoped you... But I promise you, you aren't going to convince me to abandon my way of life. Our ways here are our own. You can't change that. All that you can do is accept it and move on. See, I can see that you can rewrite history to cast yourself as a victim if you want to. It's a hell of a line to just drop that like that. And it's also not true, because part of this entire mission is Glory dealing with the fact that she wasn't just a victim. She was victimized, but she also victimized others. And this is her way of finding some form of redemption for that. I can see that Harrow has you brainwashed into thinking that this is okay, but Marta, it isn't. You just don't know when to give up, do you? Our ways aren't yours, but that doesn't give you the right to judge us. Who are you to impose your ideology on this commune? An outsider. Someone who hasn't been corrupted by Harrow or his pet spirit. I'd say that qualifies me to offer an opinion. I'll tell you what you are. You're the kind of person that Harrow has always warned us about. Your sense of moral outrage doesn't trump our right to live the way that we choose. She takes a deep breath, struggles to calm herself. If you have any more accusations to hurl at my husband, go ahead and do it. I'll tell you how wrong you are. I prefer to keep this conversation civil, but that's up to you. Being victimized does not excuse, but does inform a whole lot of predatory behavior in general. Yes, it is a great game. Alright, there's something else I want to ask you about. I've read Harrow's manifesto. It looks like he spends a lot of time talking about charity. Yes, of course. Marta nods eagerly. Charity. The kind that I practice when I rescue young people from the streets. But then, in his rules of living, he says that all free thinkers are supposed to be selfish. Well, yes, but... And after that, he says that only the strong deserve to prosper. So, which is it? The confusion washes over her face again. She begins blinking agitatedly and fidgeting. And that unseen force clamps down again. She seems to calm. You just don't understand the beauty of his message, the truth behind it. Give us the amulet, Marta. It's the right thing to do. I feel the whispering again. The look of confusion intensifies on Marta's face, even. I don't know what to do. What you say makes sense, but it feels wrong somehow. I just can't. It isn't you. It's this place. It gets into your head. It's a lot more than this to wake me up to it. I don't know what to do. She fishes the amulet from between her breasts, holds it out to you with a trembling hand. Take it and go. Do what you need to do. Thank you, Marta. She holds her head clasped in both hands. A tortured expression has overtaken her face. Please, just go. Okay, I'm glad that I could navigate that. Now we're gonna save right the fuck here. After everybody has come to a standstill. There we go. Because, oh boy, do I not want to have to deal with that again if I fuck something else up. You said that you just wanted to talk to her. She just ran out of here in tears. Her mother died. We're going to go calm her down right now. Oh no, poor Marta. Take care of her, okay? Yep. That's what we intend to do. As you step forward, the scintillating red light that streams from the doorway flickers and dies. There's a strange, lurching sensation in your gut. It clears almost instantly. The door swings open with a touch. Laurie nods, then reaches into her satchel. Her hand comes back out, clutching a small jar. She's got a witch jar. I'm going to put a smear of this on your forehead. It's a sort of alchemical balm. His voice goes quiet. Harrow taught me how to make it. She unscrews the cap from the jar, revealing a pale white ointment. The surface glitters strangely in the dim light. If you ever wondered where my share of the take from our jobs has gone, this is the answer. Powdered orichalcum isn't cheap. What does the ointment do? The boundaries between the material world and the astral plane are weak in this place. Things can cleave through. The balm is like a lens. Focuses your perception. Makes the haze real. She applies a small smear of ointment to her forehead. It looks like a glob of glittering white paint. With this, we can deal with the spirit on its own level. Sounds like a plan to me. She dips her finger back into the balm and traces it down your forehead. The ointment feels cool and oily on your skin. That's good, so we don't have another one. She fishes in her bag a second time and pulls out a pair of silver necklaces. A rune-inscribed pendant dangles from each. This will protect your astral self from spiritual possession. Don't take it off while we're dealing with the shrine, whatever you do. You put on the pendant, you say, got it. Glory puts on her own pendant. The necklace glitters slightly against her pale skin. I don't know what's going to happen when we step into that room, Sheela. We're playing with forces outside of our control. Are you ready to do this? Ready as I'll ever be. There's a long pause before she speaks again. Oh,
Mom, have you seen Mr. Grumbles?
Again? How did you lose track of her?
Can you help me find her?
Yes, give me just a moment, all right? And Glory does speak again. Her voice sounds strained. At the very beginning of this thing, we both agreed that Harrow needs to die. I still want that. I want to bury my claws in his belly and pull his entrails out for what he did to me, and to all the other kids like me. But from what we've seen here tonight, I suspect that Harrow isn't the real power here anymore. Explain. So, we'll come back to this when we come back from our commercial break, okay, folks? We've still got plenty of time to finish up this mission and maybe do Iger's mission. I'm not sure yet. We'll figure that out later, though. So, we'll be back in 5. Stand up, stretch, do all that good stuff. I'll see you on the other side, okay? Same goblin time, same goblin channel. Uh-huh. Alrighty. So, I assume she's not in the library like she was last time. Let's see, where else could she be? Hide all the stack of chairs. Folks, we are back. So, what does Glory have to say? I think that when Harrow started using his shrine, he handed the same spirit trapped inside of it the keys to the kingdom. The bastard might think that he's in charge here, but he isn't. Not anymore. He's a servant, just like everybody else. The only difference is that he doesn't know it. What are you basing this on? What we saw with the initiate in the fridge. We heard Marta say about the sacrifices. Lots of little things, but they add up. Alright. So is there a way that we can deal with the shrine without hurting the cultists? Yeah. Glory nods. Rather than killing the spirit, we can attempt to purify it. That will clear its influence from their minds without hurting them. I think that if we purify the spirit, your Sheela will die. We'll save all of the kids and the nightmare will end. But if we do that, Harrow will get away. If you feel that strongly about it, we can shift our focus to rescuing the kids instead. So you're run, Glory. I'm just here to help. To breathe a sigh of relief. Thank you, Sheela. I hate to do the wrong thing here. Let's put an end to all of this. We heal the spirit, and then the cultists. We send Harrow running and shut this place down. Alright? That's the plan. Let's do it. Oh, and I got an autosave, which means something big is about to happen. Let's go talk to Satan. As you approach the shrine, a chorus of high, sibilant voices fills the air. The sound is light and airy. Something about it fills you with bone-deep dread. Welcome home, Glory. Glory's eyes go wide. She opens her mouth to speak, but no sound escapes her. Glory, what? Something slams into you, a wave of intangible force that turns your consciousness inside out and sends shockwaves reverberating through your mind. The world lurches and everything goes black. Oh? Slowly, you begin to stir. Murky, flickering impressions invade the oily stillness of your unconscious mind. Sensations come in waves, washing up over you and jerking back towards consciousness. You smell acrid smoke and burning meat. A roar of distant flames fills your ears, or whispers in your ears. Your eyes flutter open, a dull red glare fills your vision. As you attempt to struggle to your feet, you become dimly aware that the gravity here feels wrong. Everything is heavier than it should be. Slowly, the waves grow still and your senses calm. You find yourself staring into an infinite horizon. Blasted ruins of Sheela stretch out in all directions as far as you can see. Is this astral space? No. Glory warily says, surveying her surroundings. Someplace else. You're gonna have to be more specific. I don't have answers for you. But there's one thing that I am sure of. Whatever this place is, the adversary holds sway here. I don't doubt that. In fact, I think this place looks the way it does because you expect it to. It's trying to play to your fears. Glory pauses for a moment, then shrugs. That's possible, I suppose. But we can worry about that later. For now, let's keep moving. The spirit will be around here, somewhere. Oh, but hey, my drones are still with us, so that's good. Think, anyway. What the fuck is that? Ow! Hurt like a son of a bitch. All right, let's at least get one of the drones up and running. Oh, miss. All right, you know what? Drone number 2. You get out there as well. Yes, it leaves my character out in the open, but might be for the best. Alright, Glory. What can you do? Let's get you forward with that adrenal pump. Can you make it? Yes. Do we have anything that also adds... Okay. Nice. Okay. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, I don't like that at all. Sir? Adrenal pump is a pleasant combination of words. It really and truly is, isn't it? Okay, so that guy died. Which is great. Rude. Oof, okay, we're gonna take as many shots at this thing as we possibly can. Come on, coin toss. Oh, beans. Okay, but he went after Glory, not me. That's good. Nice. There we go. Woo! We both only took 1 hit, so we regained all that HP too. Yeah, but yeah, a lot of cybernetics concepts are really kind of heinous when you actually think about them. At the very least, they do uncomfortable things. Let's see. Yep, once again, let's get that adrenal pump going. There, and can I get to you? No, I can't. Okay, let's see if we can't shred some of that armor. Nope, that's a full-ass miss. Rude! My drone! Alright, Robodoc. You get out there too. We've got a better chance of hitting that guy. Ooh, good crit, good crit. Down he goes. Down that goes. Let's get him over here. Oh, maybe not. A little bit of damage, just a little bit of damage. Ooh, the drones are doing some work. I say before completely and totally missing. Ugh, no AP. Thank you very much for the subscription, Yokas. I always appreciate that. Especially right now. Like, again, me the person behind the character. It can use all the support in the world, so very, very much appreciated. Thank you. Oh, we found the horned one. The thing hovering before you. Well, thank you for the extremely engaging conversation. Of course, of course. So yeah, the thing hovering up before you is hideous. Its broad chest is jacketed in scale-like patches of burning coal, and its many sets of antlers shimmer with heat. It smells like a barn fire, wood smoke, burning fur, and blackened bodies. The spirit inclines its head towards Glory and spreads its arms in welcome. Now, the model for this particular enemy is a very interesting thing as well, just because, like, if this was taken from a purely American perspective, you could think that this was playing off of certain Appalachian and First Nations myths. But because of the fact that this game was based off of a mod that was created by someone from Germany, I would argue that it's more basing itself off of some of the, I don't even want to say German folk myths, but like, it's not even really fair to say Gothic folk myths, because both of those terms don't really and truly describe the like swath of people that we're talking about, because we're talking about folk myths that predate modern Germany. We're talking like stuff from even before places like Prussia and Austria and those places existed. And it's things like this that you can still see in modern pagan practices. Oh goodness gracious, what was the one band? Oh goodness, my phone is tracking my movement, so I can't look them up right now. It's like Irene or something like that. Let me see if I can check over on my iPad, because I know I have their albums. Irene, excuse me, not Irene. I'm gonna actually spell that out in the chat, because in particular, what you want to look up is the song named Umai, which is like the music video for it is all about the push and pull between like older naturalistic pagan beliefs and, quite frankly, the incursion of authoritarianism on what we're allowed to believe, what is appropriate to believe. It's a very, very cool song. Very, very cool song, and some very specific messaging to it. Duly noted. You'll give that a watch after this. Fair enough. Fair enough. But this reminds me of some of the headdresses that are used in that, which are more closely tied to, and I want to say Shireen is from somewhere in the German-speaking world, but I'd have to look that back up. But anyway, the spirit inclines its head toward Glory and spreads its arms in welcome. Heart of Fürstelle. Glory, welcome, child. It speaks in a chorus of clear, lilting voices. You don't hear them so much as feel them. The sensation is strange, like hundreds of butterflies fluttering in your chest. What a pleasure it is to see you again. Glory steps forward, trepidation in her face. Standing before the towering form of the spirit, she looks frail and small. She takes a deep breath, steels herself, and speaks. I know what you are, spirit. I know what you were before the adversary twisted you. Before Harrow bound you into this rock. She drops a hand to the satchel at her side. I can help you be that again. All you need to do is let me. The spirit chuckles, a strange warbling sound that sends a shiver down your spine. We are not in need of help. We are our great master's servant, just as Harrow is. Just as you are, despite your misguided attempt to cut away his love from your heart. The voices in your head soften, become sad, but the fluttering in your chest turns ugly like the buzzing wings of a swarm of blowflies. You mangled yourself beyond repair. You did it to spite him. He who was your greatest benefactor. You betrayed him, child. He loves you all the same. Don't listen to this thing, Glory. Slowly, terribly, the spirit begins to turn. You can hear the crack and pop of splintering vertebrae as its enormous head shifts on its shoulders. It fixes its cavernous gaze on you. Your friend, this outsider, speaks out of turn, but we take no offense. Her words are like the babble of a newborn babe. She is ignorant of the truth. The spirit inclines its head towards you. If the noise continues, we will teach her. The babble will cease. Glory shoots you a sidelong glance. She mouths out a word. Big deal. My vertebrae crack and pop if I so much as think about moving. And you know, valid. Valid. Listen, I actually started doing... Okay, this is going to sound old person-y, but like I recently started doing the like old Japanese radio morning exercises when I first wake up, and ooh, do I feel a lot better. You can find various YouTube videos to go along with it, I'm sure, but like it's like 3 minutes, but it's a little bit of calisthenics and aerobics in the morning, you know? Warms the muscles up. The heart of Purstead continues. I have a message for you from our great master. He has a gift for you, a peace offering, one that he offers you freely. A sign of his continued affection for you. He knows that you desire his servant's destruction. As a symbol of his love, he will grant you the power to bring an end to Hera. He knows that you wish to free the children of Fürstella. As a sign of his compassion, he will help you set them free. You can have everything you want, child. All of this and more. Ooh, I wish I had saved before I started this conversation. Glory told me to be silent, so I will do so. It's a nice pitch, Spirit, but you neglected to mention the price. The Spirit leans toward her, clasping its hands. This will cost you nothing. A simple gesture, a trifle, a show of good faith. If you demonstrate your love for him, he will reward you beyond your wildest dreams. Remove the protective ward from your neck. His gift is yours for the taking. Yours forevermore. Purchased a weird triangular pillow that you strap to your knee to allow you to sleep on your side without damaging your spine. Ooh, fun. Old people speak is no stranger to me. Yeah, fair. I've slept with a triangular pillow for my head in various shapes and forms for years at this point. I used to have like a very specific like a right angle triangle, but for the last 5 or so years I've been using one with a much longer slope, and it's good for my back, it's good for my neck, it's good for all those things. Truly the most stable shape. It really and truly is. Yes. Although that being said, round is the best shape. Just saying. Again, saying nothing, Lori cranes her neck to look up at the reeking, cadaverous thing that looms over her. I've had my own limbs hacked off to get away from the adversary. I paid someone to do it. That's how badly I wanted to be free of your great master. Your offer is as pathetic as it is predictable. To be frank, I'm disappointed in you. The barn fire stench of the spirit thickens, and its antlers glow white. The heat radiating from the thing is like an oven, a kiln, a blast furnace. If you rebuke our great master the second time, I will chew what's left of you into mulch. The marrow from your bones will nourish the garden. I promise you this, child. That's it. I have a better idea, Lori says as she dips a hand into her satchel and produces a ceremonial dagger. The blade shimmers eerily in the light. We are going to purify you, Spirit, and after we've finished, you'll help us rescue those kids. You started buying downright decadent pillows for your head. It has proven worthwhile. Absolutely insane how immediately the body begins giving up after 30. Or honestly, even earlier, because, listen, the harder of a life you live, the more your body gives up. And it's one of those things that, like, again, this is me speaking as me, the person behind Sheela, not Sheela herself, but, like, because, like, Sheela has access to all sorts of healing magic and is living a pretty damn good life. Ooh, me, the person behind it, wishes that she had it too. Because, ooh, some of the injuries that I have received in the line of work that I have been in, ooh, destroyed your body working food service and making odd lifestyle choices in your late teens, early 20s that didn't catch up with you till later on. Probably the worst ongoing injury that I have is from a botched stunt on a student film. Basically, I was supposed to mount a vehicle in motion, and the driver was just under 5 miles per hour faster than he was supposed to be, and thus, like, an entire chunk of the musculature that controls my right shoulder is not working correctly, shall we say. Most days it's fine. Most of the time it's fine. I have adapted to it. It's fine. Every once in a while, when it gets moved incorrectly, however, I will be in pain for the better part of a week. There's just not much I can do about it. Is like I have looked at, like, getting reconstructive surgery or anything like that, and the problem is that it's at this point mostly a nerve issue. Knees are completely shot. You can apparently expect to need them replaced within the next 5 years. Ooh, fuck. And see, you've actually got me beat, which is kind of hard. Like, my left knee is, I don't know, maybe I have a weird relationship with pain, because I tend to be able to suppress pain a lot more effectively than most people can. So, like, my left knee is going to end up fucked. Can't really play bass anymore without compression gloves. That's unfortunately pretty standard for a lot of people. And again, like I mentioned earlier, that my sibling specifically went into, like, athletic medicine to see about, like, reducing those sorts of strain injuries. Got accustomed to dissociating from physical pain really early on, and it turns out that's bad. Thankfully, I was guided to do it in a semi-healthy way, because it was more the ability to, like, visualize it as warning lights on a control panel. It's the don't let the pain force you to do specific things, but also don't ignore it kind of a thing, you know? Because, like, a lot of people, you know, again, the people that I grew up around were incredibly smart people, and I'm so thankful that they taught me the way that they taught me, because, like, yeah, that idea of, okay, no, pain bad, pain is doing a bad thing, pain tells us that something is wrong, but also, if you are in physical danger and stopping to address the pain at that moment would be more dangerous, adapt real quick, you know? Because, like, the issue that my knee has is it was blown open in a fight gone horribly wrong at the age of 4. It was the stupidest thing. I got in a fight with another kid who broke one of my transformers. Gee, I wonder if I was ever diagnosed with anything specific. Maybe has the term spectrum in it. A combination of growing up dirt poor and having fairly severe ADHD trained you to ignore power through pain. But yeah, no, like, we got in that fight. I broke her nose. My knee got split open to the point where bone was exposed. It was bad. It was real bad. It was one of those things that escalated way faster than, like, we were under adult supervision. Like, this was at a good preschool. There were, like, 2 or 3 adults watching playtime. It just escalated ridiculously fast. yeah, on the upside, that really skyrockets your goblin credibility. I mean, you know, you're not wrong. Yeah. No, it was just one of those things where, like, my knee hit a tree root in exactly the worst possible way. And, like, kids bounce back from injury really well, right? But also, when you are that tiny and that scrawny, and you take a hit that then slides across really rough bark immediately over the kneecap, there's not much there to protect anything. So yeah, that was, it clicks. It's bad. There's a reason I favor that leg, or don't favor that leg. I never remember how the terminology for that is used. But anywho. Really miss bouncing back like that. Fell like 15 feet out of a tree onto a steel table in a park on your 14th birthday, and you were fine within a week. Assume you'd die if that happened now. Oof. So, I actually knew a dance instructor. He was specifically a modern dance instructor who was replacing a light fixture, and he was on a ladder. His dog went ballistic because like a car backfired or something. That detail I don't remember. But the dog ran under the ladder, knocked the ladder out from under him, and he went arm first through the top of a glass table, and spent years with a, quite frankly, really cool and frankly cybernetic mechanism retraining his arm and fingers how to actually move. And I won't go into the grim details, but parts of it were implanted in him, which is why I refer to it as a cybernetic mechanism. It didn't have like computers or anything to it. It was all very rudimentary, like tension stuff, but that thing was inside him. Yeah, it was life-altering. It was absolutely life-altering. That said, it did not stop him from dancing. He wasn't able to be on stage for a good long while because, well, there wasn't a way to remove the mechanism, but he was a fantastic teacher still, despite the injury. And he eventually got back to a point where he could fully use his hand again. It was fantastic. But, you know, yay medical science. You love what you love, and you find a way to do it no matter what. Exactly. Okay, so, back to the game. Glory says, we're going to purify you, Spirit. And after we've finished, you'll help us rescue those kids. The Spirit cackles. Very well, child. If pain is what you seek, we will bring it to you. Beneath its leathery skin, the thing's bones begin to shift, straining against the ligaments and tendons that bind them. A hideous crackling sound fills the air as its skeleton splinters and pops. Ugh, now there's two. As you watch, the spirit's body begins to rupture. Great lesions open up in the creature's chest and back, and its rib cage cracks from some horrible internal pressure. The spirit's chest heaves and a foul liquid pours from the rips in its flesh. A flash of light stabs you in the eyes. When your vision clears, you find 3 identical spirits floating before you. Death comes in many forms, child. The fluttering sensation in your chest grows into a rasping pain that steals the breath from your lungs. It's like you're being eaten alive. Yours will be swift. I find that stuff like that, Django Reinhardt and Def Leppard's drum, are frankly aspirational. To love something so much that you simply nullify your constraints. Exactly. Tony Iommi is another great example of that, because he's missing like the tips of, I know it's at least one finger, but I'm pretty sure he's missing the tips of multiple fingers due to a birth defect. He actually drew inspiration from Django losing 2 fingers. Okay, cool. You know this story. Excellent. Okay, good. Okay. That's 3. Okay, there's the other one. He just glued thimbles to his fingertips. Exactly. You know? You do what works, you know? Okay, so I'm gonna go there and get the steel links. At least originally, yeah. And eventually, you figure out a way to make it work, you know? Okay, so let's... Oh, come on! Oh boy, here we go, killing again! And his down-tuning to make bends easier ultimately informed an entire genre of music. Isn't that cool? Like, the fact that we are inspired by people who are ultimately, let's see, twin slash, can hit adjacent targets. Okay, that's the one I'm going to use here. Like, people get inspired, people get inspired to create new things based on the interaction between disability and, like, and the limitations that we face. Like, oh goodness gracious, there's a specific form of jazz that was also inspired similarly because a lot of the instruments that were available to people back in the day were like way out of tunes, like stupidly bad quality, or were otherwise broken, and it inspired a whole form of jazz for it, and I cannot for the life of me remember what the title of that subgenre is. A figure materializes out of shadow. The form is wispy and insubstantial, projection of a man distorted by distance. His silhouette ripples like a flag in the wind. Through the haze you can see his face. He is more beautiful than handsome. With sculpted features and an unnaturally youthful complexion, his expression is sad. Harrow, Glory says. Glory. Voice is deep, faint, and marred by echoes. It sounds as if he's shouting from the far end of a long tunnel. You shouldn't have come here. I was content to let you live out your life in peace. I've come to put an end to this place, Harrow. This place and your pathetic, sickening cult. Django pioneered much of a certain genre of jazz that I don't know its non-slur name for, but you know, it was cool. Is it the one that starts with a G? Because, yes. Yep, okay, yep, nope, we're not gonna repeat the word because, nope, it is unfortunately a slur. But, yep, nope, it is an entire form of jazz. There are a couple of bands that do... Actually, no, you know what? One of the bands that I have in my background music, which can be heard on stream, but can't be heard in after-stream stuff because I don't have that license for it. I have a license to use it during streams, but not in VODs. But... Hello? Hang on a second. I'm gonna message somebody about that. So Gogol Bordello is very good. They're not actually the ones that I have. It's the Underscore Orchestra. It is a similar subgenre of jazz that is... They take inspiration from like Ukrainian jazz and folk music, Zydeco, and a few other things that is really fantastic, and you should definitely check them out. It's orchestra spelled with a K instead of a C. Yeah, you can find their stuff all over the place. Like, it's on iTunes, but you can also find it on YouTube and a few other places. I've come to put an end to this... Oh yeah, we've already read that. I don't want to kill you, Glory, and I won't unless you force my hand. The flickering silhouette spreads its arms wide. Ask me for my protection, and I will usher you out of this place. You can leave your Sheela in peace if you ask me politely. I might even let your friend leave with you. I won't abandon your victims here, Harrow. Not again. I'm going to burn this place to the ground. My only regret is that you aren't here in person to burn with it. A fight, then, Harrow says with a sigh. Very well. The air all around him begins to pulse with scintillating bursts of color. His rippling, transparent form glows with heat from within. You brought this upon yourself. No, he didn't. You're a fucking liar. Okay, that's some bullshit. There we go. Are you kidding me? Rude. All right, the doc bot is definitely coming over to help me here on this next turn. Okay, let's reload. There we go. Heal up. Ow! Rude. Oh, look, Harrow's back. Real quick. Glory. Nice. Weakened, the spirit's form flickers and sparks. The burning coals that cling to its body fall off in clumps. Its searing antlers begin to cool. The chorus of lilting voices warbles and shrieks as its body transmogrifies into something else. Through the haze, you can see Harrow's eyes go wide. Once, his rippling silhouette begins to fade back into the shadows whence it came. His body becomes insubstantial. Harry says, "Go ahead and run, you fucking coward. Run back to the real world in whatever hole you crawled out of. We'll catch you." Shadows in the shape of a man smile back at you. The distance in his voice is increased. Sounds like he's shouting from miles away. I don't think so. You don't even know where the real me is, Glory. Oh, don't worry. We'll find you. We're good at that sort of thing. Projection flashes you a condescending grin. Believe whatever you like, fool. It won't do you any good. Years from now, I'll still be doing what I do. You will have accomplished nothing. Go ahead, Harrow. Try to set up another cult. You won't get far before I hunt you down. Projection chuckles. The sound is thin and hollow. You know better than that. But nothing makes me happier than the sound of you lying to yourself. Goodbye, Glory. Oh, okay, you threw out amazing Amari C by underscore orchestra, and this immediately fucks severely. That rooting in G is really infectious. Oh yeah. And if you find their version of Hall of the Mountain King, good cover, great stuff. The shadow slowly dissipates, and Harrow is gone. Run, coward. Run far, far away. We'll find you. Glory continues staring for a long moment. Spot. Oh, hello?
Hey, hun. Can I borrow you for a second?
Yeah, you can borrow me anytime you like, stud. Yeah, I'll be with you in a second, hon. You've never encountered Ukrainian music, but this seems to share a lot of theory with Indian music. It does. Well, and that's the thing. Ukraine and a lot of the other Balkan states are right at that nexus point where they are on the Silk Road and in other places where there's a lot of cultural crossover between parts of Asia, parts of the Arabian Peninsula, parts of Europe, all of these things kind of mishing and mashing together into this strange, cool thing, you know? It's just like my favorite instrument in the world is the hurdy-gurdy. And that instrument exists as a conversation between France, Spain, and There's a specific North African and Middle Eastern country that I cannot remember off the top of my head, but it's again in that kind of Arabian Peninsula. Hurdy-gurdy mentioned exactly. You get it. Like just 4-string with the buzz, and it's so good. It's such a cool instrument. It's such a cool fucking instrument, and the way that you can use it, especially in minor key things. Oh, good stuff. Fantastic stuff. But anywho, we'll talk more about that when we get back, because oh my goodness, music is such a good thing. Also really neat how it influenced so much music worldwide. Like bluegrass wouldn't be the same without the occasional hurdy-gurdy. Yes. So the combination between, or like the comparison between how some instruments are used in bluegrass with traditional Chinese instrumentation is so fucking cool. I need to take a break, but we are absolutely going to talk about that after the break. All right. So stand up, stretch, do all that good stuff, and we will be back to continue this conversation and finally finish up this mission. After the break, you'll be enthusing about banjo. Oh yes, please do. Banjo and shamisen, two peas made in the same pod, but going in very different directions, you know. But anywho, be back soon. Alrighty, hun. So, what can I do for you? Alrighty, we are back for probably going to be our final section of the day, but we'll figure that out as we go along. So the two instruments that I was trying to make reference to are and you're familiar with bluegrass, so you'll know what this is instantly, but a zither and a Chinese instrument called the guqin. There's also a Vietnamese version of this that I don't remember the name of, but it's referred to as internationally it is referred to as a type of harp, even though it is on a boxy bass body. Very, very cool. And again, it's so interesting to see how many times we essentially reinvent the same thing because it makes good sound, you know? So, the banjo. Yes, tell me more about the banjo and your relationship to the banjo. I'm going to keep reading whilst you do so. Let you get a few messages ahead. Glory continues staring for a long moment at the spot where the projection of Harrow vanished. Her expression is unreadable. Slowly, she turns away. The spirit's writhing form continues its transformation. Twisted claws buckle, break, and reform. The charred bone begins to heal. The barn fire stench of it slowly dies away, replaced by an array of more pleasant smells. Oak and pine and mineral oil. Rustic feasts and mulled wine. As it cools, the spirit raises its head. Its body is as shaky as a newborn foal's. What has happened to us? What have we done? I'm going to again remain silent here. So long story short, your father purchased a banjo as a result of his love for the Ozark Mountain daredevils. Fair enough. Highly recommend the song Chicken Train. I want to say I've heard that song before, but it's been long enough that I'm not making a connection there. And some finger pick things. Yep, don't actually know. They're just called finger picks as far as I'm aware. It's knee deep in bass, guitar, and mandolin by then, was obsessed with the lowest string being a high G. Hey, fair enough, fair enough. He sorted out Purple Haze and Crazy Train on it. Just absolutely fell in love. Nice. Nice. Like, I have a strange relationship to banjos because I grew up in an area where people were trying as hard as possible to sort of separate themselves from that era of like hill folkness, if that makes sense, or like swamp folkness in my case. For most of the people I grew up around anyway, but some of my relatives were hill folk, but then that's part of the whole thing with like the Appalachians that, oh Nelly, like this thing in particular that we've been fighting, the Heart of Fjordstella, has a lot of visual cues that the first time I played this game, when I didn't have as much of an understanding of European mythology, I was viewing it through the lens of Appalachian mythology, and very different experience, let me tell you. It was interesting to learn that before its long period of slander as a hick instrument, it filled the role of guitars in bands. And especially because, like, it's an American adaptation of a traditional African instrument. Exactly. And of course, it gained a negative reputation in no small part because of the fact that it was an American adaptation of an African instrument. It was a slave instrument in a lot of people's minds, especially in the USian South. So, yeah, everything is historically connected to colonialism, and I hate it here. Yeah, that definitely played into the slander of it. And it's one of those weird things where a lot of the hill folk of Appalachia were like very resistant to slavery, and like a lot of those communities became integrated a lot earlier than others, if not for moral reasons, but just because they were of the same social class. You know, it's why would you dislike the person with a different skin color if you're both being treated the same way by the mine bosses, you know? Like, there is camaraderie there. And so, of course, you have cultural bleed over. And not to get on a soapbox that makes me, 4 foot tall instead of 3 foot tall, but gee, I wonder why certain parties in the US have spent the last 100 or so years pushing back against the idea that there should be camaraderie between working class people. I wonder if there's a reason for that. But anyway, Yeah, it's definitely played in the center of it. Yet love that the response was for freed slaves and their descendants to get better at guitar than anyone who came before. I mean, maybe the Spanish had an edge on them. The freaky full hand strumming at breakneck speed they practice is unbelievably impressive. Oh, are you familiar with an older musician and dancer by the name of Charo? Because, oh, she plays guitar in ways that you would not believe or expect. Like, to this day, she is one of, in my opinion, the greatest guitarists that has ever been. Oh my goodness. She is absolutely unreal. Exactly. You get it. You get it. Oh, good stuff. Yeah. Music is one of those things that, much like stories, connects all of humanity because it's something that it doesn't require a literal understanding. It's something you feel from your heart. And I don't want to use the term soul because, again, I'm not a religious person, but sometimes that's the closest word you can think of. You have at times described her as the Hendrix of flamenco. You know, honestly, yes, I would agree with that. Soul simply means the sum of a person's parts. Fair. It's one of those words that I hesitate to use because it has a very specific implication in English. And I worry that if people don't know me when they hear me say that, they may take it as an implication of something specific, you know? It's like getting into academia, and specifically cultural anthropology in academia, and always having to start a paper with definitions of what you mean by certain words because you're dealing with a religion that is filtered through the eyes of English's inherent Christianity. Because modern English is, unfortunately, inherently saddled with Christianity. We describe the skies as the heavens, for fuck's sake. Like, there are so many other terms for that, for the lofty, glorious emptiness of the skies. And yet we chose the heavens. There's a reason for that, historically. There's that religious element, but you're always happy to over-clarify. Oh, of course. Another good one is, like, the description of, like, spirits and things from other cultures as, you know, either demons or, if they have positive, begrudgingly as spirits. But anyway, I'm digging into another rabbit hole. It doesn't help that we've got guitarists like Mark Tremonti, who played Christian rock and were also unfathomably talented. And that's an interesting part of that too, because if you are willing to play into the religious aspect of things and either claim or, you know, realistically or not, divine inspiration for things, you are more allowed to be an artist in certain periods and places of the US. That's troublesome, but it doesn't break with the traditions that humanity has had basically forever. People who are devout are allowed to work outside the normal realms of what is considered a normal workday job. If you are divinely inspired, well, of course you have to follow what, you know, the gods, or, you know, capital G God, or whatever you want to call whatever deity is involved. You know, and we should support you in doing that. Your musical roots are really soul, R&B, funk, which are super rooted in gospel music, and you do in fact love gospel music. Yeah, of course you do. I'm not saying in any way that type of music is invalid. It's just, I don't know. It's interesting to look at how the arts and religion intersect in interesting ways, and in ways that make religious artists more socially acceptable than those who work outside of the bounds of religion. Stuff like Wolfpack's Clarity of Cal in the modern day would have been a godsend, no pun intended, for presenting gospel style without any religious baggage. Anywho, I'm gonna focus on the game for a little bit. But, you know, keep doing what you're doing, because obviously, like, we're having great conversations here, so, like, I will come back to this. Yeah, I'm gonna say nothing. I'm gonna wait for Glory to take the thing. What have you done? Terrible things, Spirit. Loathsome, unforgivable things. You have corrupted children, turned them into killers. You've been a party to violence, torture, and the desecration of corpses. You've created monsters. The spirit cringes, shaking its great head from side to side. It doesn't speak, but a low rumbling sound emanates from somewhere deep in its chest. Unpleasant to think about, isn't it? You have to, spirit. You can't run from what you've done. Your actions are a part of you, whether you like it or not. The rumbling sound turns into a tormented howl. The noise conjures images of mourning mothers and caged animals, screeching orphans and dying men. It is a sound of pure, unmitigated despair. Glory takes a step towards the giant creature. Listen to me, spirit. I need your help. We're here to rescue the cultists of Fürstelle. The street kids whose minds you touched. We're getting them out of here before the adversary can do to them what it did to you. The spirit stares at Glory for a long moment. Finally, dips its head in a nod. Yes, we will help you. I'll be damned. Something's gone right for a change. The spirit bows its head. We have withdrawn ourselves from the minds of the people here. They are themselves again. Thank you. We'll take our leave of you now. The heart of Fürstelle jerks its head up in alarm. Wait, we wish to do more. We have much to atone for, as you said. Just what do you hope to do? Make amends. Heal the sick and the wounded. Bring them the succor of hearth and home. We can do nothing without your help. We're still bound to this shrine, anchored here. We cannot leave without your assistance. Tell us what you need us to do. We need an appropriate vessel to carry us out of the rock. Something touched by magic, but more dead than alive. It dips its head. Do you have anything that can help us? Gingerly, Glory reaches up and wraps a hand around the protective ward that hangs around her neck. I think I do. Go ahead. If this thing wants to help us, I don't see why you shouldn't. In a single motion, she snaps the chain. The pendant falls to the floor. The heart of Fürstelle lowers its eyeless head and traces an elaborate gesture into the air. A warm glow envelops it, and a similar glow spills from Glory. There's a bright flash, and the spirit is gone. Okay, let's head back over to chat. You also adore gospel organists. There's so much control and emotion in that sort of playing. It frequently sounds like an artist at odds with themselves because of that, balancing almost supernatural joy with absolute precision that amounts to a jam band format. You know, I never considered it that way, but you're not wrong. Tension coupled with release in every note. You're a sucker for the traditional gospel song build-up, climax, and come down. It's just the sound of someone who believes in what they're doing, I guess. Yeah, you're not wrong. But there's also, I don't know, there's something to be said for the way that church acoustics lend themselves to that particular sort of sound. Some of my favorite artists make a point of recording themselves for albums in churches specifically because of the way that those things are set up. There is a method to it, but you're absolutely right. A way of playing that it connects you, and it forms a connection with something greater than yourself. And that doesn't necessarily mean a spirit, but other people. And in a way, that is the spirit. That is the thing that people are always connecting to, is the people around them, the greater whole that is us. And that's part of the reason why I think of music as such a universal language, because the sounds feel right. No matter, like, you know what the emotion is behind them when they are played well. No matter what language you may speak or what culture you've grown up in, something greater than yourself is to you extremely humanistic. Exactly. It's what makes us social. It is that drive to be a part of the story of others. And again, like, my social context always comes back to stories, because that's what I was raised in. So I hope you'll forgive me for using that term there, but that ability to be part of someone else's story, to make a bond with them and change their life in some small way just from experiencing each other's existence, is what makes people people, you know? Everyone is capable of experiencing those emotions, and regardless of faith or lack thereof, a bond is formed by it. Exactly. Exactly. Oh, goodness gracious. There is another artist, and we've brought up so many artists today, but there's an artist by the name of Ludovic, Ludowic, who has had an engineer recreate an instrument called the trautonium, which was one of, if not the first, electronic musical instruments. It uses essentially an electric current through a bar of metal combined with, I want to say it was either a bass string or a piano string. I cannot remember off the top of my head, but depending on where contact is made, it changes the electrical current and thus the note, and creates some truly beautiful, haunting musics. You looked him up as soon as I mentioned him, and this is cyberpunk music. Oh, it is. Like, that's the thing. It is such a much more deep and emotional form of music than we normally think of electronic music as, but it is inarguably electronic music. And it's absolutely gorgeous. He recently did an interview with Heinbach, where he was specifically setting up for a concert in a church venue, and listening to the acoustics of that is just, oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. Let's see what's going on with Glory. Glory, are you okay? Slowly, she rises. She looks you in the eye, a quizzical expression on her face. I can feel it. The spirit. It's bound to me now. So what does that mean for us? Can the spirit help us, like it said? See for yourself. She raises an arm, and you feel a burst of warmth and comfort in your chest. It wants to help people, to heal them. It wants redemption, just like I do. Together, we may be able to find it. Behind your eyes, your vision starts to twist. It feels as though you're being turned inside out. Time to go. With spirit's link to the adversary severed, this entire reality is falling apart. See you in the real world, Glory. Yeah. She offers you a grateful smile. I'll see you there. You used to have anti-electronic biases, which was very foolish. It allows for expression in ways we simply cannot achieve with analog means. And that's the thing. When you mix analog and electronic, you can also create some really glorious stuff. Like, it's the idea of... The theme is, like, people getting upset about, like, Photoshop and tools like that for digital art. And I'm not talking about generative AI bullshit. That's a whole other thing. But like, I remember growing up and seeing people fight over whether like analog traditional art and digital art were at odds, and if like one was better than the other, and they're both doing different things. They can both be used in different ways and to do amazing things. It's just a question of the format and the medium, you know? Slowly, you swim back to consciousness. Struggling to your feet, you find Glory already standing and alert. I can feel them. The spirit set them free. They're trapped somewhere here in the complex. The initiates, you mean? Yes. And others. She surveys the room, a worried expression on her face. We need to find them and get out of here. The connection between this compound and wherever we were is breaking down, and then as that place disintegrates, more and more things are spilling through. The rats fleeing a sinking ship. Yeah, and it's only a matter of time before Sheela is consumed too. Look in the corner there. You can already see it happening. I'll take your word for it. Let's move. You have functionally zero skill within electronic music beyond MIDI keyboards, but it's astounding to hear stuff old and new from people who grasp the possibilities. I mean, hell, even the more mainstream stuff like Daft Punk is phenomenal, because they really understood their craft. So here's a fun fact about the guys behind Daft Punk. Both of them had, like, master's level minimum, if not MFAs, in music theory. They were incredibly talented musicians. I think, in my honest opinion, the Tron Legacy soundtrack is their best work, and it really, really emphasizes just how musically brilliant they were. Because when it came out, people, like, I knew a couple of people who complained about it, saying, oh, I thought Daft Punk was supposed to have composed the entire soundtrack, not knowing that all of the orchestral stuff was composed by them. Like, their understanding of electronic music was based in all of the old classical and analog music. That's why their electronic music was so successful. Do you think the turning point for you was understanding electronic musicians as composers above all else? Bach, Beethoven, et al. Could not play every single instrument, but they could understand how they work together and create truly beautiful songs. Exactly. Exactly. Glory nods. It's only a matter of time before Sheela is concerned. Oh, we've already read that part. I'll take your word. Let's get a move on. Then. Ooh, okay. All right. Yeah, well, we can't go that way. Mozart was an outlier and should not be counted for Midnight Sonata third movement. Yeah, Mozart's, yeah. Mozart is the Spider's Georg of the musical world. Okay, come on. Uh-oh. Oh, don't tell me we soft locked. Oh, did we glitch? Uh-oh. Oh, nope. Can't help but reference Full Peck again, but George Stratton is an anomaly to you because he can play well over a dozen instruments at studio musician level. Ooh. You love to hear it, but oh, merd. You also wonder how somebody gets there. Okay, when was the last... Oh no, we are... There we go. When was the last save at? That's not good. All right, something's going on here, folks. I guess they're sitting alone in the room for years. Yep. Let me see if I can find a workaround for this. spelling of Fürstelle? Let's see. So hard to Fürstelle bug. Killing spec reckoning shrine. Find you can't move. The map doesn't register any points. Okay, let's see if we can't debug something here real quick. Wait, nope, canned. Can we get this door open? Oh yeah, the Guzheng sounds so good, like a condensed harp in terms of actual playing. Yes. Okay. Let's see. There are chibi cheats in here? What the hell? Animation event timed out on action for player, alpha female, okay. So what are we doing here? Oh, I really hate that the last save was over an hour ago. You'd think it would have auto-saved at some point here. Null reference exception, arrow, okay. Animation attempt on action for player 100, okay. When you lived in Seattle, there was a guy who would sit on the sidewalk outside the 3rd Street subway station playing an erhu, and it was hauntingly beautiful. Always wanted to start acquiring Asian instruments in general since then. Oh, absolutely. I can understand why. Trigger history, salon blocker, interact, add save, object, stop, initiative, cower. Okay. Okay, so we've gotten out of... Something's jammed up here, and I don't know what it is. I think I may have to crash the game out, unfortunately. Well, maybe not. A lot of them sound like kind of how out-of-phase electronic Western instruments would sound, like a violin that simply resonates entirely differently. It's the kind of thing that, because they're using a different musical scale often, and there's not any one different musical scale, but there are like a lot of different scales. Oh, right. Okay, so... Oof. Oofda. Alright, folks. What I'm gonna do is, off stream, I will figure out what's going wrong with this. And save every step of the way. I'll get past this fight and then save before we start any new conversations so that the next time we can come back and continue this from where we're at. Well... If it was a 5 or 15 minute thing, I'd say we could keep going, but given that I lost an hour's worth of progress and I don't know if I have that much more stream time in me, I am going to go ahead and call it here for the day. So let's head back over to the just chatting screen, and we'll talk about stuff a little bit more because I am loving this conversation. But yeah, losing an hour of progress really kind of takes the wind out of your wings, you know. Okay, what was the Yokus saying? A lot of them sound... the scale definitely has a massive impact, but the sound itself is unachievable on an equivalent instrument that you're familiar with. So that comes down to a difference in what kind of strings they're using and what kind of wood they're using for those instruments. Because I know a lot of Asian stringed instruments all actually use silk instead of like catgut or like steel, like a lot of modern European instruments use. So... check into that. I have to wonder what a silk-strung Western guitar would sound like, you know? Who knows? That could be a very interesting, different sound. But it is what it is. So like I said, glitch aside, I have absolutely loved today's session, not just because of the wonderful conversation we've been having, but because of the depth of the story that we got to experience with Mercy. Not Mercy. Oh my goodness, I keep calling her Mercy for some reason. Glory. I wish we'd been able to finish it out, but, you know, I'm going to have to figure that glitch out off stream because, again, I just do not have the beans to go for another hour and maybe fix the glitch, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Thank you very much for being with me today, folks. And thank you for stopping by, all you weary travelers. I hope you've enjoyed today's stream. I will be back on Tuesday, February 24th with a Hightail stream. We finished up our roofing project last time, and I haven't completely decided on what I want to do next, but we'll figure something out by this coming Tuesday, I'm sure. For more information about future streams, keep an eye on our Blue Sky at Come and Go Tavern for announcements and daily check-ins from the Come and Go. I've been your hostess, Sheela Ornthalis, and if you need to prop your feet up for a little while longer, we've got some more entertainment coming up soon via a raid. So let's see who is online, shall we? Oh, really? There's only a couple of people online today. I find that very hard to believe. I mean, I guess I am finishing my stream a little bit earlier than I normally would. Huh. Let me go check to see if anybody is online from the various servers that I'm in. Because these are some cool people, but they're also much larger than I am, and I'd much rather send you all off to somebody who's more in my neck of the woods, as it were. Let's see. I think Aya was streaming earlier. Ta-da. Oh no, I was seeing an alert from yesterday. Okay. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bam. Let's see. What is Wasp doing? Elengard Ascension. Okay, let's go bother Wasp. Let's see. Oh, if you may hazard a suggestion, Ira Gober is a friend who's currently playing WC3. Oh, okay, cool. Let me go take a look at it. Oh, you mean even just swapping to tape wound bass strings fundamentally altered your own sound on bass, so you can only imagine what intentional strings or international strings would accomplish. Let's see. Ira Gober. Oh, okay. I see how that name is broken up now. Ira Gober. Okay, cool. Let's go raid her then, shall we? So, I will see you all on the other side of that raid. Oh, Ira Gober's raid settings do not allow you to raid at this time. Oh no! Well, there with that idea. Let's see, raid. Okay, we'll go with Wasp. How fortunate for Wasp. Exactly. So, I will see you all on the other side of that. Ta-ta for now. Bye. Bye. Mwah, bye.